no flim flam, no compromise, no sellout, no control show, no false show. No, we need either this or that. This or that. If you're wrong, you're wrong, and if you're right, you're right. And if that man, if the people down there are...
On the ground, we never running, we just walking around. Spitting scriptures like we busting around. Screaming on them as a thief in the night. Praise y'all, what you need in your life. New Torah movement, trying to bring it to life. Was fishing for them, trying to get them to fight. They walking dead, trying to bring them to life. I got that water dive in his movie. Taking them side, but it ain't Scooby. Takes on the ground, we never run, we walk them down. That's how we do it. Torah move, I say my prayer, hallelujah. The prophets awake, spirit did me what they face. They say that I'm going up, my mind, I better tell them just that I'm staying. I stand on my two, I'm a man. I've been on that block and I kinda let stand. And keep the Torah, baby, we got that plan. If it's down, better give them a hand. Pick them up, cause together we stand. Granny had faith in a mustard seed. Uncle had faith in a bunch of keys. We sting your flat like a bunch of bees. The prophets had left, blowing the trumpet, we put in that work. They think it for money, new Torah moving, yeah, we keeping it coming. But the tank told them if he try to go run him, we walk him down like we searching for motives. Let out those scriptures, we load up the precepts. And they die right when you've been walking on the cats of Egypt. Who it down? Now we are. Don't let them fool you. I say my praise, hallelujah. Chase on the ground, we never running, we just walking around. Spitting scriptures like we busting around. Screaming on them as a thief in the night. Praise y'all, what you need in your life. New Torah movement, trying to bring it to life. We fishing for them, trying to get them to fight. They walking dead, trying to bring them to life. I got that water dive in his movie. Taking them side, but it ain't Scooby. Takes on the ground, we never run, we walk them down. That's how we do it. Torah move, I say my prayer, hallelujah. In the making, say the boss of y'all up in the prophets got them shaking. I need my plate, no sugar, no bacon. I got my fam by my side like we racing. Had the bullets together cause I'm ripping in the middle, but I see us make it. I told them be patient without instruction, how we save it. Awaken by y'all, we keep praying. Baby, it's so amazing. I got that water that they get thirsty. I got the bull with me. I got that ocean I swim with them sharks and there is no tool with me. Get in my heart, they play the fool with me. Can't solo, got it cool with me. Said, Father, I can't do this, let's you with me. Leave me alone and things might get too silly. Only you hit me. Yeah. Chase on the ground, we never running, we just walking around. Spitting scriptures like we busting around. Screaming on them as a thief in the night. Praise y'all, what you need in your life. New Torah movement, trying to bring it to life. We fishing for them, trying to get them to fight. They walking dead, trying to bring them to life. I got that water dive in his movie. Taking them side, but it ain't Scooby. Takes on the ground, we never run, we walk them down. That's how we do it. Torah move, I say my prayer, hallelujah.
Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings, giving all praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to our ancestors, to Yeshua Mashiach, to our Lord and Savior who showed us how to walk out the Torah circumspectly. And what we would like to do on today, this evening, is present again our illustrious brother K.O.T. Um, who's coming to us with a dynamic teaching and lesson as always. It's going to be talking about, you see, the notification. He's going to be talking about and bringing us information on the rise of the saints, the rise of the saints and the fall of Esau, the rise of the saints and the fall of Esau. So, man, get your pens and your pads ready. You see our good brother KOT, his Cash App is at the bottom of the screen. Scrolling across, please support, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Let someone know that we're on the air. And man, I'm getting ready to turn this thing over to you, brother KOT, man, and it's on you, brother. And shalom, out, peace and blessings.
Shalom, fam. I like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father. Kalam no Yowa. By the power of his word, I rock. Hallelujah. I don't want to get too deep. I probably do a part 2 with just scriptural based and to depth, because you know people, they like to say about slavery and all these things. But I'm going into another aspect where people might not understand. You know, you heard a lot of these scriptures. Let me get ready to share my screen. One sec.
Y'all hit that like button, man. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let someone know you're on the air. Hey, y'all know how it is, but the KOT is always surgical with the scripts. And so he's going to come in today and give us something that we can grow thereby. So, man, let's get it. Let me show your screen out.
Just let me know when they can see my screen and you can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you well. They should be able to see your screen. It's on you, Op. Rock out.
Okay. Now we're going to start off with 1 Corinthians 14 and 26. Because this is a 2-part stream, family, of what I'm doing, but it all connects. How is it then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you hath a song, hath a doctrine, hath a language, this tongue, have a revelation, and hath an interpretation? Let all things be done unto edify. So we know all our brethren, we keep seeing videos and things on people having multiple different doctrines. It's different when it's people that's not even in the faith. You have to beat up on them doctrines to get rid of the wickedness they teach. But we know a lot of our brothers just come to fight against each other's doctrines without getting true understanding and edifying each other. We go to Malachi 2 and 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. Now we know this word messenger also means angel, but they also like to flip the words in the scripture. But the priests are the messenger of the Yah of hosts. And the law comes at his mouth. And we know through over time those wicked priests and wicked men moving off the spirit of disobedience and of darkness. But we know he is the angel of the Yah of hosts. He is that messenger. We go to Ecclesiastes 10 and 5. There's an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler. So these people ruling these nations and the powers that are at hand. Because a lot of people need to understand this book is written for our time and for our learning, for our generation, in this age. And they're speaking to these rulers to say, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. So we know they sit upon great foolishness, doing foolish things in this world, even with all the money they spend and the ways they do in life. And we see that the rich sit in low place. Even though you should expect them to have higher standards, they do evil and wickedness and conspire these things. I have seen servants upon horses, So he's telling us something. He's saying the servants of the earth, they're upon the horses. They're riding high in the jets, the Lamborghinis, living up the world. The servants and princes walking as servants upon the earth. But the princes of this earth, they're walking as the servants. They're living as these servants upon the earth. So we see he's telling us something we need to understand. Isaiah 45:4, he tells us, for Yahweh, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called you by name. So he says, Jacob's his servant, for his servant's sake. He tells us Yasharal is his elect. So we know the nation of Israel as a whole is the elect chosen nation of his. I have even called you by your name. I have surnamed you, though you have not known me. Because he's speaking to us, fam. From the time of the fall of Jerusalem to now, to speaking to us, fam. Because many of them knew about Yah in their time and all about him. He's speaking to the ones he had to awake, the ones that were fallen. Romans 8:33. Moreover, whom did he predestinate? Them he also called. We need to understand Israel is his elect nation, and among that nation he has an elect group of people. That's why you hear about the 144,000, but he has elect groups of people among the nation. That is his elect nation. And he says, moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. So the predestinated family. Many of us here are predestinated. Them he also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If Yah be for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of Yah's elect? It is Yah that justified. So among his elect nation, this elect group of men he has, they're supposed to uphold his law, this covenant, to bring righteousness, light upon the earth. Who shall lay anything to charge of Yah's elect? That's what he's telling, asking. It is Yah that justified. 1 Corinthians 6:2. Do you know not that the saints shall judge the world? He's asking them a question. Do they not know this? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? So we know a lot of churches, people teach you can't judge each other. The scriptures teach the saints shall judge the world. Also, even these smallest matters, fam, and it shall be done in righteousness, not according to one's own thoughts or wills, according to the works of righteousness. Matthew 24:31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. So he sends out his prophets with a great warning, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So they are together this elect nation, because this predestinated beings that are among them must be awakened to bring light unto the world. Colossians 1:26. Even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints. We know they didn't have all these scriptures and doctrines. Only a very few knew a lot of this knowledge, which is understanding from the scriptures. But in our time, these things are written unto us, family. And these things are now made manifest unto his saints, family. These things were hid from the ages and from generations. Luke 18:7. And shall not Yah avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them? Matthew 24:24. Because the elect suffer here also with their brethren of the children of Yasharal. Matthew 24:24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So we know that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, because the chosen ones are also born as others' family for their jobs. So they have a mission here to deceive the very elect. To see if they divide the nation and deceive the whole nation, that among them the elect should be deceived. It's what they figure. Matthew 24 and 22. And except those days should be short, there should no flesh be saved. So we see other flesh wouldn't even be saved unless these days were shortened. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be short. So those days are going to be shortened for the elect's sake, that other flesh could also be saved. Because no flesh should be saved if these days aren't short. Because of these technologies and devices and the things they're about to do, fam. These days must be short. So people that set their own time frame when they think it's going to end and fall, remember, these days are short for that particular purpose. John 17 and 3. And this is life eternal, that they might know you, the only true Father, and Hamashiach, Yahushua, whom you have sent. I have glorified you on earth. I have finished the work which you gave me to do. And now, O Father, glorify you me with your own self, with the glory which I had with you before the world was. So he's telling us that spiritual being that's in that temple, he was before this world even was. I have manifested your name unto the men which you gave it to me out of the world. Thine they were, yours they were, and you gave them me. So he's saying you gave them to me. They have kept your word. Now they have known that all things whatsoever you have given me are of you. For I have given unto them the words which you gave us me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I come from you. And they have believed that you did send me. So these particular predestinated group of beings among the elect of Israel, because this is the elect nation, he has the predestinated beings among them. And they have believed that you did send me. I pray for them. I pray not for the world. So he's telling us the ones he's praying for. But for them which you have given me, for they are yours, and all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. John 17 and 12. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those that you gave us me, I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. And now come I to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them your word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. So he's telling you they're not of the world, because he's not of this world. I pray not that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil. So he's saying, don't just kill them to get rid of them out of this world. Protect them from this evil and keep them in the righteous path, what he's saying. Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. See, this is the whole purpose why they trying to destroy the whole nation of Yasharal, because they know that the elect men born among it will destroy their powers. The powers that they were creating future, present, and they knew. So this was the purpose of them trying to deceive the very elect. But he says, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. So he's saying these others that'll believe on him through the word of his prophets, the elect. He prays for them. But he's saying they have to believe on me through their word. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. So if they didn't believe the words of the prophets, how would they believe on him? It's what he's saying. See, it's a hierarchy. You go through the prophets, the elect men, to Yahushua, to the Father, because hierarchy of the doctrine and hierarchy of the Spirit. That they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me. John, we're going to go to John 14 to 15. We're going to jump back. If you love me, keep my commandments, because this is what he told them already. I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. And we know a lot of people try to make themselves the comforter, but in the same verses, he tell you who it is. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, because the world was in error and wickedness. Neither knoweth him, but you know him, for he dwelleth with you and shall be in you. So he's telling you, he's dwelling with them and he'll be in them. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. So he's telling you, he's the one that's going to comfort you. He's the one that's going to comfort you. Because he's talking about that word, the spirits. Yet a little while, as the world seeth me no more, but you see me, because I live, you shall live also. And that day you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you, because we one spiritual body, fam. They talking about the Trinity, what right here, we part of the Trinity, of course, I guess. If the Christians mustn't get this verse, it says, and I in my Father, and you in me. That's two. And I in you. That's three of us, y'all. That's us. So I guess we're part of the Trinity Godhead. But he's telling us something. Because we're one spiritual body. He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And I will love him and will manifest myself to him. Now he's saying manifest himself to him. He already just said he will be in you. Because we are one spirit. So these spirits of the word that will come upon us, he will be manifesting himself unto you by the Holy Spirit. But we go to Ezekiel 11 and 16. Therefore say this, says Yah, Allah Yah, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. So he's saying, though I scattered my people, Yashral, he said, I will be a little sanctuary unto them, and these in the countries where they shall come. So we know these groupings, these gatherings throughout the ages, since we've been scattered. We've been coming together to get to this truth. Therefore say this, says Yah, Allah Yah, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered. And I will give you the land of Yashral. So he's telling him, his people, I'm going to gather you from all these people and countries where you've been scattered at. And I'm going to give you that land of Yashral. And they shall come there, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. See, this is what this new part of the new covenant and all that new spirit will be put inside of us. And I will take that stony heart out of their flesh, and I will give them an heart of flesh. So many of our nation's people are wicked, that they may walk in my statutes and keep mine ordinances and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God, their Allah. Some say Allah. But as for them whose heart walketh after the heart of the detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads. So these are the ones going to have judgment coming upon their own head. Says Yah. Then did the cherubims lift up their wings and the wheels beside them, and the glory of Yah of Yasharal was over them above. And the glory of the Lord went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain, which is on the east side of the city. Afterwards, the Spirit took me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Yah into Chaldea, to them of the captivity. So the vision that I had seen went up from me. So we know he's seen a vision. And these things what he was talking about. Then I spake to them of the captivity, all the things that Yah had showed me. And that's what we're supposed to do, family. Isaiah 65 and 22. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. So he said the elect is going to long enjoy it. And I will bring forth the seed of Yahweh, and of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains, of his people. And mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. That's why he tells us in Matthew 5:5, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. We know the elect men are not wicked. And because these elect are among the nation of Israel, that is a chosen nation, so many should be running to do righteousness, because they may be one of that elect to bring that light. And they have a greater punishment not fulfilling their works. Now I'm going to jump around a little bit. I remember one of the streams, I remember we brought up the voice of thunder at a Yara and at Apostle. So I'm going to jump around with that word a little bit. Give a little understanding. Job 37:5. Yah thundereth marvelously with his voice. Because we notice what a lot of them say, like Elder Yara was pointing at, and Elder Apostle said, his grandma says it. I know Elder Yara was pointing at, yeah, because that's in the scriptures. A great things doeth he which we cannot comprehend. And we go to John 12:26. And if any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. But if any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say, Father? Save me from this hour? But for this cause came I unto this hour. So he's speaking this. It's similar to what he was speaking in the other verse when people were saying he was scared and all that. If in this verse, he's clarifying what he's really talking about. He's saying, but for this cause came I unto this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then came there a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered. So we see the people that are standing around, they say, man, it just thundered. Like a lot of non-believers and people around it, it just thundered. Others said an angel spake to him. So you have other people, believers in the faith, knowing. They said there was an angel that spake to him. But other people, all they heard was the sound of thunder. That's why many did say, your old grandmother and stuff said, that's the voice of God or the Lord. It's meaning that they knew it was a sign and a message. Now we know nowadays it's got many tricks to make these sounds in the skies, but I'm telling you what the scriptures are talking about. Yahweh shall answer and said, this voice came not because of me, but for your sakes. And that word thunder also means something else, but let's get to it. Ezekiel 43:2. And behold, the glory of Yah of Yasharal came from the way of the east, and his voice was like a noise of many waters. So we know his coming is also symbolic of the coming of his people. That's why I said his voice like the noise of many waters. That's many people. And the earth shine with his glory. Because the people that are coming, us, we are going to shine in his glory. But he is also coming. But just understand, they don't understand the spiritual parable behind it. Revelations 1:12. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girthed about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So many teach the depiction of Yahweh, what they teach. Now we know this is they're giving a depiction of what he's saying, but it's also a parable also of it coming of his people. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace. And his voice as the sound of many waters. So his voice is the sound of many people, as the sound of great thunderings and many waters. That's talking about people. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his countenance, so his appearance, was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore, and have the keys of hell and death. So we know Revelations It gives us a depiction of what they say Yahushua, and it also is given a parable of the coming of his people. Revelations 1:19. Because this is what he told them. Write these things which you have seen, and the things which are. So he's telling them, write those things you've seen, and the things that are, and the things which shall be hereafter. So he was giving them a parable of something that was also going to be after. That's why they spoke the way they did. It's a mystery unto the saints. It's a mystery, but unto the saints, the elect, that's just who the mystery is for. Let's go to verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars which you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. So these angels, these ones over the 7 churches. And the 7 candlesticks which you saw are the 7 churches. So let's go to Revelation 14:1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. So it tells us that the lamb stands on the Mount Zion. It tells us with him is 144,000. And they have their father's name written in their foreheads. That's why we already know there's separations of the elect as the nation and the people among the nation. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. See, they also tell you that the waters and thunder have a similar meaning. And we know waters mean people also. And I heard the voice of the harpers harping with their harps, because that's what it's talking about. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. So it tells us the 144,000 are redeemed from the earth. No man can learn that new song but them. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb, whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yah and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of Yah. So they are found without trickery and sin before Yah, because he looks past it, but he does the whole nation as that, because it's an elect nation. And there's different meanings to these terms in verse 4, but let's go down to Revelation 19:5. And a voice came out of the throne saying, praise our Allah Yah, all you his servants, and you that fear him, both small and great. And I heard as it was the voice of a great multitude, and as the sound of many waters. See, it tells us already. And as the voice of the mighty thundering. So it tells us the people's voices are compared to great thunderings. Many waters. And what were they saying? It says, saying hallelujah. That's hallelujah. Let's read that again. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, these people, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thunders, saying hallelujah. So they're praying for the Lord Yah, omnipotent, reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath been made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. So now it tells us what this white is. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he said unto me, right blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, these are the true sayings of Yah. Let's go to Revelation 5. We're jumping back on top of here, family, in case I lost anybody. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Because many of these chapters are repeating the same thing, they're just parables. Having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, you are worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For you was killed and hast redeemed us to Yah by your blood out of every family and language and people and nation. So they're telling him they're the one that was redeemed out of every family and tongue and people and nation, and hath made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So they're telling you they're the ones that were redeemed. They're the ones in those robes singing that song, family. This is one group of them. It's multiple groups, but they add up. But let's stay on topic. And they said, and it has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Revelation 7 and 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes. See, we already went over who was wearing the white robes, and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders and 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshiped Yah, saying, Blessings, and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might be unto our God forever and ever. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? See, we're going back because they already told us now. He's finna repeat it. And where came they? When came they? And I said unto him, Sir, you know us? And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of Yah, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. For we know who they are already, because it told us. But listen, it said these are they which came out of the great tribulation. Now, when we get to Matthew 24 and 21, he told us, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days be shortened, that's what it was telling us, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be short. So we are part of this great tribulation, family. That's what it was going on from then, since the siege of Jerusalem to now, family. Because Daniel 12 and 1 tells us, And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered. Every one of them shall be found, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So we know from the siege of Jerusalem until our time, this is upon our age, family, through our generations, when these things will occur. And these days shall be shortened. Because the elect men, they came through the ages of families. Since Adam, he elect men. All of them went on earth at the same time. Family. You had many of the prophets. Revelations 21 and 9. There came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come here. I will show you the bride of the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Yah, having the glory of Yah, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasharal. And we all hear about these doctrines in churches, and many people taught about it, the 144,000, the 12 gates. Now, you had the elect nation of Israel, and we know among the elect nation, you have the elect 144,000 family. That's why the kingdom has a great wall, a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, because he's seen the vision. And at the gates, 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasharal. So we know who this kingdom is, who's running it. These are elect men, the heads of this kingdom. We're going to jump to verse 21. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, and every several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord Yah Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of Yah did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Verse 24, and the nations of them which are saved. See, this is a thing about a lot of people don't really get. The book clearly separates these other nations and tell them, we know they got salvation because it tells you in Revelation. And the nations of them which are saved, so we know other nations are going to be saved, shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. So we don't have to add other people into the salvation of Israel, branching them on, anything like that, because the book clearly separates them and tells you in Revelation. And the nations of them which are saved. So we know other nations are going to be saved. But the only way they're going to do that is through our word. Like Yahweh Shah said, I pray for them, not the world. But he said, I pray for others also that believe through their word. So if they don't believe through our word, they won't understand the truth and understand what he's talking about. So that's how other nations will be saved. Just as you had Moses, you had Yahweh Shah, he sent out the saints, the elect. And the nations of them which are saved. So other nations can be saved because it tells us that they're separate from Israel. So we have the elect chosen, the heads of this nation of Israel, of this kingdom of Yah, that he's seen in the vision. And we see 144,000 of the heads of it. And we see, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring the glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, but there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. So we know other nations are going to be welcome to come into it because they're bringing glory and honor there, family, sacrifice. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth. So the nations that are saved are ones that are going to be following after good works and try to follow, that will be following after laws and commandments and statutes, worshiping the Most High, Yah. Neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So it's predestination beings and people that are written in the book to be saved. That's why it's of the Maker's hand. It's like it's no will to it. He chose people. This particular decree that he wants done are going to be done. You have a book written with people already in it. Your name's already in it if you're in it. So that's predestination already if you're going to make it. But people can be canceled out. Taking away, removing their own salvation, turning to darkness. But the elect, that's why they're trying to deceive the very elect. But it will not be so, fam. Go to Luke 13:18. Then said he unto me, what is the kingdom of Yah like? And whereunto shall I resemble it? It is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and cast into his garden. And it grew and waxed a great tree, and the fowls of the air lodged in the branches of it. So that's a great kingdom that multiplied and others came to it. You see that other kingdoms coming into it, fowls. And again he said, whereunto shall I liken the kingdom of Yah? It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of a meal, till the whole was leavened. And he went through the cities and villages teaching, and journeyed toward Jerusalem. Then said one unto him, Lord, are there few that be saved? And he said unto them, strive to enter in at the straight gate. For many, I say unto you, will seek to enter in, and shall not be able. So there's many people that's going to seek to enter into this kingdom and of salvation. So we can't teach people lies and think, because he's telling us already, many going to seek to enter in. Let me go back. Strive to enter in at the straight gate. For many, I say unto you, will seek to enter in, and shall not be able. Once the master of the house is risen up and has shut the door, and you begin to stand without, and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us. So they clearly knowing who he is. They coming towards him. Now they want to pray to him and seek him. And he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not. Whence are you? Who are you? I don't know you. Who are you? Then shall you begin to say, we have eaten and drunk in your presence, and you have taught in our streets. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not. Who are you? Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. So there are going to be many that saying they taught of him, teaching of him. So they gave praises unto him. Why did they not receive that salvation or whatever they're seeking, the reward? He's going to say, I know them not. Because they still work iniquity. Meaning they're not even on the righteous path. That's what he's saying. It's not in their heart. Like I say, speak from the lips, but it's not even in their hearts. And they shall come, let's go. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth when you shall see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of Yah. So he's telling us all the prophets. You're going to see Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of Yah. And you yourselves thrust out. And they shall come from the east and from the west. So we notice that kingdom of resurrection because we have the prophets, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they shall come from the east and from the west and from the north and from the south and shall sit down in the kingdom of God. So people are going to come to this kingdom and sit down in it. And behold, there are last which shall be first, the first which shall be last. So we see the prophets. Many are going to be thrust out. And you're going to see the prophets, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They're going to see these things in the kingdom. Let's go to Leviticus 26:12. For I have respect unto you and make you fruitful and multiply you and establish my covenant with you. And you shall eat of old store and bring forth the old because of the new. So we're going to bring forth the new. And bring up, let me go back. For I will have respect unto you and make you fruitful and multiply you and establish my covenant with you. And you shall eat old store and bring forth the old because of the new. So we're going to bring back that law, statute, commandments, the righteous. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you, shall not hate us. And I will walk among you. So this is what we're told in Leviticus. And Paul had to reiterate it to them. They didn't understand. He said, and I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their bondmen. And I have broken the bands of your yoke and made you go upright. So he told us that he will walk among us. He was going to be our God. Yahushua told us that he is in us. He is also in us, and we are in him. So him walking among us, many didn't quite understand it. Because the spirit wanted to just be walking around, had to dwell in temples, family. Walking among us, they don't quite get it. 2 Corinthians 6:14. But ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath a Mashach with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of Yah with idols? For you are the temple of the living God, the temple of the Father, family. As Yah hath said, I will dwell in them. He told us in Leviticus. And walk in them. So he's going to be in our bodies, our temple. And when he said he's going to dwell among us, it's going to be a spirit. His spirit will be walking among us, around next to us. He's going to be in us, family. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be you separate, says Yah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And I will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says Yah Almighty. So he told us he was going to walk among us, because he was going to be within us. We are his temple. Let's go to Isaiah 10:21. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty Yah. For though your people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. So we know our people as the sand of the sea, but everyone's not returning unto him. And many of them do not even seek him. But we know a remnant shall return unto him. The consumption decree shall overflow with righteousness. For Yah, Allah of hosts, shall make a consumption, even determined in the midst of all the land. And we also see in Obadiah 1:21. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yah's. See, I didn't really want to get into that. That's why I stopped there, because I know a lot of them going to Obadiah and they try to teach about slavery and things. We could probably make that in a different part, but that's not in the kingdom of Yah, what they're teaching about. They talk about different events. 2 Ezra 6:7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? Like, so hearing all that information, you're sitting there like, so when these things are even going to come or be? That's how Esdras was, after he got all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that he was given. He was trying to figure out when would these things be. So he's asking. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? What shall be the parting and the separating of these times? When will these happen? He's saying, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So like, as I'm reading all the scriptures that I read, you're like, okay, so when this kingdom ever going to come or be? So this is how Esdras was when he was getting the information from the angels, and from the spirit. He was trying to figure it out. So when it's going to happen, because like many others say, are we homeborn slaves? They wonder whenever what these things happen. And we're hearing about the elect among Israel. That's why many should be jumping towards doing righteousness in the works, because that is a greater reward to do righteousness. And you don't do the good work, these works just for the reward. But if you are of the elect, you're part of a big power for the end, because Savior shall stand upon and judge Mount Esau. Other nations right now are seeking help from Israel, from us, family. They know who we are. These poor and people down in other places, they're calling for us because they know the elect is spread among the ones predestinated and sent among that elect nation, those elect men. So he asking for Esau is the end of the world. So if it's telling us Esau is the one that's going to be the end of this world, this age that we're living in, and it's telling us we're going to be the beginning of it that follows. So who in the world is this Esau? Well, we know they're telling us Esau is ruling everything and causing all this racket. But we're going to jump back. So this is the second part. A lot of people, see, this is dealing with genetics, so I don't expect many people to agree with me. Some may do, some may don't, because the way they doctrinate things, theirs is not based off the Bible, basically. They use some biblical thought and words, like when they go into the mitochondrial haplogroups, or divided into three main groups, see, and they use this, calling it also dubbed mitochondrial Eve. So we see that even in science and in their genetics, they still use some biblical terms, but they're not basing even their time frame centered around it. So I don't expect other people to agree with me, because some people bases their time frame off of doctrines. But we're going to see, according to their doctrine, do any of these things add up? Because we need to understand, into creating these haplogroups, we see this comes from a lot of migration, exposure to the environment, and from mixing. Because we know they all had the same father, Noah. So they all possess that same Y chromosome. So they're all the same people pretty much, until it goes into mixing and migration and mutation. So that's how we will find them if we're searching for them. So many people carry their own doctrines of these DNA things, but we're just going to go off of basic DNA thought off these DNA sites. Because we go to Genesis 36. Now, these are the generations of Esau, who was Edom. I'm going to read this scripture a few times throughout here. Esau took his wives as the daughters of Canaan family. So we need to understand. Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Holibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hiphite. And Bashimath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebuchadnezzar. So we see he took several different daughters of other people's lineage family. Canaanites, even Ishmael's daughter. So he branched off with different subclades of people also. But when looking at genetics, you can clearly see that Ham and Japhet took closely of the same migration patterns till they moved out. And I think that's where those subclades came, because a lot would say, many would say Shem carries the majority of the E1B1A subclades. Those particular subclades branch from. And Ham will be carrying a more majority of E1B1B, some would say, subclades that comes from them particular subclades. And Japhet will also be carrying a similar subclade, will say the same thing that Ham would be carrying at that time until they mutated from mixtures and migration. But the reason for me saying that, because when you look at the maps, because a lot of these DNA specialists don't agree on all this stuff, because if you look at the information over time, a lot of their wordage and things actually change. But you can see patterns. It's all branching from the E subclade. But let's read a little bit about some of these subclades. Wikipedia.com. Haplogroup E1B1B, formerly known as E3B, represents the last major direct migration from Africa into Europe. So this is what they're telling us, not something I wrote. It is believed to have first appeared in the Horn of Africa approximately 26,000 years ago, and dispersed to Africa, and dispersed to North Africa and the Near East during the late Paleolithic Mesolithic period. So you see that time frames that they use. So I don't expect people to agree on me on some of this information, because their time periods, and they're not basing this off biblical, they're just using subgroups, and they see even this comes off of Adam figure, because they use Adam also. But we see from the time frame that people would put the Bible in, and the time frames they're using, like 26,000 years, 100,000 years, things like that. So I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but if you understand what the Bible's teaching, then you could come to a conclusion. You see, EM78 and EZ827 originated respectively at 20,000 years to 24,000 years. E1B1B lineages are closely linked to the diffusion of Afro-Asiatic languages. And this is what they say, family. If you know parts of the Bible, you understand why it says they got a lot of this information and how they put their own twist to it, because a lot of this information has a narration to it, and I'm going to show you. We'll go to namecensus.com. What is the Y DNA haplogroup E? The Y DNA haplogroup E is the most common Y chromosome clade in Africa. It also made its way around the globe for reasons that can be both ancient and more modern in nature. It's very old haplogroup, which likely emerged over 70,000 years ago. Family, see how the time frame they're using? So it is thought that this E group started in East Africa, where today modern day descendants remain in high concentrations. The presence of this haplogroup in Europe and Near East populations seems to suggest anchored migration from this region. That's what I'm telling you, because Ham and Japhet took similar to the same migration patterns, so they shared the same subclade until they branched off and mutated. But many of Shem descendants already carried the E1B1E subclade from their mutation. That's what they call the mutation, from the migrations and the patterns they took. But it tells us the E haplogroup is also very unsurprisingly common in African Americans, some of whom have ancestors who were taken from Africa as part of the slave trade. See, we know that we were the Israelites through scholarship, but more than just that for me, but through scholarship, archaeology, artifacts, things going on. We know that the ones that were brought here were specifically Israelites on the slave trade. So they're placing them in a He haplogroup. Now we know the scriptures teach us the end is declared from the beginning. So if you work your way from the end, let's get back to the beginning. We know we are Israelites. And this group that came were Israelites. So we have to backtrack this information to understand some of it. We go to yourdnaguide.com. See, these are DNA websites. I'm just getting their basic information. It says the transatlantic slave trade also brought EMT to the Americas beginning 400 years ago, with the strong predominance of this haplogroup in West Central Africa. 70 to 97% where the embarkments took place. That's what it was sold from, what they're saying. Many enslaved men bore the EM2 genetic signature and brought it to different parts of America. So we know these Israelites are E1B1A. So we go to apocrypha.com. Haplogroup E1B1A is an ancient brother to E1B1B. That's why I'm telling you, Japhet and Ham, both of us carrying the E1B1B. When Shem mutated, almost his descendants will have the E1B1A mutation. Because we see they're telling us these are the ones through the slave trade. We know all the Israelites. Through plethora of information and other means. But has left a completely different fingerprint on the world today. These branches split from one another about 47,500 years ago. in the Horn of Africa, followed by the emergence of prominent SNP mutation, EM2, which gained footing there. The SNP mutation that actually finds E1B1A is called EV38, but the vast majority of its members belong to the sub-branch defined by EM2. Because different migration patterns and over time, they got these subclades and branches, fam. They dating about time periods when these mutations would occur. But we see where it's showing that E1B1A was sent through during the slave trade over here. United States, it was 8%. Cuba, it was 10%. They don't even teach it was like 8 to 12% of us here in America. They probably changed it now, but we're very low in how many of us are here. Cuba, so we know places. So we know what some of the 12 tribes would have took some of the information because they noticed where the slaves were sent. But where they come up with these being the actual tribe of each place is something different. That's different type of information they must have came up with. I know where partially where they would have tried to come up with it. But let's go to, we got Dominican Republic, it was 6%. Puerto Rico, 19%. Nicaragua, 6%. Colombia, 6%. Brazil, 4 to 19%. The Bahamas was 59%. Remember, this subclades, they are going off the Y chromosome. They're going by the father. So through all these islands and places were during the slave trade with the E1B1A. So these Israelites were sent to these places. And it also tells us ResearchGate.net, haplogroup EM96, that's another subclade. Haiti, 69.1%. And Jamaica, 66%. So that would have been of the E1 subclade. And we have RM306. They're telling you that 21% of Haitians carried that marker R. And Jamaica, 18.9% carried that marker R. So they would have not came from the same branch of people, had a different mutation. Represent the predominant Y lineages. See, that's what it's telling us in both populations. A high degree of genetic diversity observed in Jamaica than in Haiti, with the former populations possessing a total of 41 paternal haplogroups, whereas the latter is characterized by only 28 patrial lineages. And we jump down between Haiti and the Bahamas, alluding to the high level of genetic diversity and common ancestry with the Caribbean. The high genetic diversity in the Caribbean is further supported by the 15 loci MJ networks, which reveal limited haplogroup sharing among E1B1A, 7A, U174, that's another subclade, and E1B1A, 8A, P278. Individuals in the Haitian, Jamaican, and Bahamian populations, so those were percentages of them that had the same haplogroup, basically telling us we're the same relatives that was sent during the slave trade. These guys also. And we go to yourdnaguide.com. See, this is DNA website. Bantu expansion spread its language and also genetic characteristics from North Africa through an east-west corridor and also south in two waves of migration 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. This movement displaced other population genetic traits with the now very prominent EM2 and arrived in South Africa as early as 300 CE. So the Bantu migration displaces this certain E1B1A subclade went through their migration, so it was spread all around. So they can't tell you some of these places if it was even those people were at or originated there, because they're telling it was displaced. So some of the information was obscured. M2 is found in Africa outside of the main path, but with low prevalence in North and East Africa, 1 to 10%. EMT travels globally. EMT also moved anciently into the Middle East and Mediterranean island group. So they're telling you this. It moved all the way into the Middle East, where we know why home was supposed to be. A lot of the information people teach you we come from the Congo, from some of their artifacts, but we know that it moved into the Middle East and Mediterranean island group, seen today in low frequencies in some of these communities around 1 to 2% occurrence. The transatlantic slave trade also brought EMT to the Americas beginning 400 years ago. So a lot of the DNA websites repeat the same information. But we know these are Israelites, so we know off this particular subclade. I'm not saying this is every Israelite that was sent at this time period that I just showed you, but that was a particular group that we always say the House of Judah. But I'm pretty sure there's other tribes among that. And we see they put the Y chromosome Adam over here in this one because they're talking about an older Adam if they were to go back 140 to 200, I think 300,000 years ago. But remember, their information of time frame is different. They're not basing it all off the Bible. They just use some biblical terms. So that's why I say I don't think if some people don't agree with my information because they don't use the same information. or even time dating. We go to science.org, St. Louis, Missouri. Most of us think of Europe as the ancestral home of white people. This is not my information. This is what they teach, the science. But a new study shows that pale skin, as well as other traits, such as tallness and the ability to digest milk as adults, arrived in most of the continent relatively recently. The work present here last week at the 84th annual meeting of the American Association of Physical Anthropologists offers dramatic evidence of recent evolution in Europe and shows that most modern Europeans don't look much like those of 8,000 years ago. In case people wonder why I have all Ham, Shem, and Japhet, the black-looking folks, according to the science anthropologists, that's what they're saying, that these Europeans wasn't pale skin until the migration, and there's had to be a current mutation, which brings off other subclades, if you know how it works. And they put that date around 8,000 years, so that's our most recent date. If you put it into the biblical time frame, you'll start understanding, because it'd be like 3,000, 4,000, somewhere in the biblical time frame. For some people that use that particular time frame. YourDNAGuide.com, haplogroups ESAU have emerged more than 70,000 years ago. Like in East Africa, today, the descendants of its original ancient group remain highly concentrated. And most recently, I read this in the other one, so it's like repeating the same stuff, but let me just go ahead and continue. Let me jump now. This is also the most common white DNA haplogroups for current-day African Americans, both North and South America. Haplogroup E has something to say about the myriads of people vast swaths of the globe. So it teaches about these mutations in the EN35. Well, let's go. Jump down. One of its most common sub-branches called E1B1B is defined by the NSPE M215, and these terms are often used synonymously. E1B1B can also be referred to by another SNMP called EM35, which defines its major sub-branch. EM35 was discovered before EM215, and almost all people with the EM215 mutation have the EM35 mutation. See, they tell you almost all people with the EM215 mutation also have the EM35 mutation. So they're saying that's an account that a few people that don't, even though they may come from that mutation. But the takeaway is that E1B1B, EM215, and EM35 are often used too loosely to refer to the same white haplogroup subbranch. Because if you know their information over time periods, they change their information. And they change their wording in the subclades, how to redefine it, because when they find new information. When we're dealing with science, a lot of their stuff always change. On the African continent, EM215 is found at very high frequency in North Africa, approaching 80% prevalence in some areas across the region. In the Horn of Africa, not only is EM215 frequent in Ethiopia and Somalia, 40 to 80%, but a high number of different subvariations of the group are found locally too, suggesting this area is a place of ancient origin for the group. Because I'm telling you, a lot of Japhet and Ham descendants were carrying the same E1B1B clade. They took similar migrations. Remember, they all brothers. It was that mutation I would say Shem would have had that brought them into the E1B1A from his descendants. All of them are brothers, same father. But they had wives and children, and they migrated. A number of different subvariations of the group are found locally too, suggesting this area is a place of ancient origin for the group, that place. Limited southward migration brought EM215 to isolated populations in South Africa, and there was also spread of EM215 westward, along land and possibly maritime routes in Europe. You see this? And representing the last major migration of ancient Africans into Europe. Thomas Crown found that. Let's go. The age of EM215 in Europe is estimated at 10,000 years. See, that's all recent stuff they put. For their time frame, how far they date everything else back, these are recent things to them. With highest concentrations found in Kosovo, up to 45%, of the Balkan nations, Greece and southern Italy. This is a very specific genetic subcluster of E1B1B. And from its peak frequency, Kosovo declined steadily westwards across southern Europe. This expansion from the Balkans is the major contributing event to the presence of EM215 in contemporary Europe. This haplogroup has a long presence in the Near East, as well as demonstrated by its occurrence in ancient remains in the Levant and in mummies in Egypt. Today's significant contingent of Ashkenazi and Sephardi, so that's 20%, 30%. 20% Ashkenazi and 30% Sephardi Jews belong to a Pacific sub-haplogroup of EM215. So clearly already for them from being from this group, we already know they're not even Israelites. EM215 defined by the mutation EM123, supporting this is a major founding lineage of the Jewish people. So we know already from the information, these ain't real Israelites, these small hats. We know that now. And this is this secular group of them. But they're saying this is a major founding lineage of the Jewish people. But you know they contradict themselves when you continue to read the information. Because I'm going to show you the other group. This widespread ancient haplogroup has made a significant imprint on the African continent, and also many parts surrounding the Mediterranean, then in faraway southern Africa. A notable satellite of EM215 is found in the Lake Tanganyika region of Tanzania and Congo. The E1B1B haplogroups have been busy getting around for a long time. Now, for my brothers that believe in the book of Joshua, chapter 9, it tells, at that time in the 5th year, after the children of Yasharal had passed over Jordan, after the children of Yasharal had rested from their war with the Canaanites, at that time great and severe battles arose between Edom and the children of Chittim. And the children of Chittim fought against Edom. And Abanias, king of Chittim, went forth in that year, that it is in the 31st year of his reign, and a great force with him of the mighty men of the children of Chittim. And he went to Seir to fight against the children of Esau. And Hadad, the king of Edom, heard of his report, and went forth to meet him with a heavy people and strong force, and engaged in battle with him in the field of Edom. And the hand of Chittim prevailed over the children of Esau. So we have the kingdom of Chittim, they prevailing over the children of Esau. And the children of Chittim slew of the children of Esau 220,000 men. And all the children of Esau fled from before them. And the children of Chittim pursued them. And they reached Hadad, king of Edom, who was running before them. And they caught him alive, brought him to Abanias, king of Chittim. And Abanias ordered him to be slain. And Hadad, king of Edom, died in the 48th year of his reign. And the children of Chittim continued their pursuit of Edom. And they smote them with a great slaughter. And Edom became subject unto the children of Chittim. It's the reason why I'm reading this, because it tells you, and the children of Chittim ruled over Edom. And Edom became one, and became under the hand of the children of Chittim, and became one kingdom from that day. So this particular kingdom of Esau, his kingdom here, it became conquered, and these people, this kingdom of Edom, became a part of the kingdom of Chittim. And from that time, they could no more lift up their heads, and the kingdom became one with the children of Chittim. So they became one kingdom. And it tells us Genesis 9:27. Let's jump down. We know that King James Bible.org tells us Chittim or Kittim, a plural form of Genesis 10:4. The name of a branch of the descendants of Javan, the son of Japhet. So when Chittim, they say that's the name of a symbolic name of Rome also. Conquers Esau kingdom, they become one with the Roman kingdom. So you have the Edomites, they can become a part of the Roman kingdom. That's why you're going to find a lot of Japhet and Esau found in Egypt and all over the world, because they were conquering together. But first Esau gets amalgamated within the kingdom of Chittim, Japhet. They become a part of the kingdom at this time, in that time period. So now this specific kingdom have a lot of Edomites in their hierarchy. That's when they became a part of Rome family. So that's why we need to understand something. That's why he had Herod. They had made him a king. We go Obadiah 1:6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How is hidden things sought up? All the men of your confederacy have brought you even to the border. The men that were at peace with you have deceived you and prevailed against you. They that eat your bread have laid a womb under you. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith Yah, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And your mighty men, O Timon, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, for the violence against your brother Jacob. Shame shall cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. And the day that you stood it on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his force, and foreigners enter into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, Even you was one of them. So Esau was one of them. But you should not have looked on the day of your brother and the day that he became a stranger. Neither should you have rejoiced over the children of Judah and the day of their destruction. Neither should you have spoken proudly in the day of distress. So we find that he also took of his own portion, family. Esau was with them. He was one of them when they came in our gate. Esau was one of them when they took over, when the nations took over Jerusalem. Remember, Esau had his kingdom, the one that amalgamated into Rome when it was conquered, until Chittim, and they became somebody named for Rome. That's what they're saying. So we know they was among the Romans, these Edomites. Esau was one of the wicked ones with his plan because he took his portion of what he would do. Esau knew because Esau is Semitic. Remember that. Now I'm going to go through a few on now. Like you got these Rothschild fellas. They come from Pacific subgroup by these DNA trades that they're going through. And like most of these people seem to connect to the same group. So these high powers up here, like, we go to Comedics and let's tell them about, this must be their brother because this is your richest Egyptian. Right here. And is this the real Egyptian? Huh, see? They need to understand what's going on here. Look at this guy over here, the richest Sudanese. They know Sudanese. And these guys, Edomites, they carry the same haplogroup. These ones they put in high grade of power. Okay, remember, Esau mixed with, had children with Ishmael also. So he had a particular mutation of a branch of his own descendants. That they brought up that Arabic name and came up with that, called them Arabs. So we know the better one was different Arabs. They called them because that was desert dwellers. But that word was made up by these people, trying to fit themselves in with real descendants of Ishmael. But these ones were from the seed of Esau. Go to nature.com. Y chromosome haplogroup J, M304, represents the major male lineage in West Asia. Today, the 12F2A deletion and single nucleotide polymorphic SNP biallelic markers M304 and P209 define and characterize this haplogroup. It splits off from haplogroup IJ M429 at 45,000 years ago. While the time to the most recent common ancestor, TMRCA, of haplogroup JM304 lineages 33KYA. Studies associate haplogroup JM034 with the spread of farming from the Near East to Europe around the time of the Neolithic demographic transition. Remember, they place theirs off a different time frame and different things from it, but I'm putting it together for a reason. The genome-wide ancestry of West Asian populations were geographically structured in three groups. Among them, haplogroup JM304 is found in the Caucasus, Iranian and Anatolian hunter-gatherers and farmers, but not in the Levantine ones. Unfortunately, so far, DNA studies are missing from the Arabian Peninsula and Mesopotamia, because they're hiding some information, if y'all want to know. Where haplogroup J, M304 is frequent nowadays, this haplogroup splits into J1, M267, and J2, M172. While haplogroup J2, M172 associated more with agriculture in the northern latitudes of West Asia, haplogroup J1, M267 has been connected with the spread of the pastoral economies in West Asian arid zones. So you wonder why I'm bringing up these people when they're telling you they're Asian, right? These are many of these people that are connected to that lineage of these Asiatic, so-called Asiatic people. Man, we were the Asiatic Negroes. That's different. These people call Asiatic, but they don't want to call themselves Negroes. And this is not only them, because these are mixtures of they got other mixes in their DNA. These are the people they actually bring up that honor these names. Then I spoke to my brother. He sent me some information. I only got through an hour of it though, but it brought up people in Yemen, and so they fell right into place because these same people all seem to have the same branch of haplogroup. I just went to Family Tree DNA to research it, see what group they had. Say 3 research shows that J1 haplogroup makes up about 72% of Yemen people, 34% of UAE people, 58% of Qatar people, 50% of Iraq people, 55% of Palestinian Arabs, 48% of Oman people, 34% of Tunisian, and 35% of Algerian. And they all are branches of this J. It's J1 and J2 family. And these people said Edomites, and through the information I got from my brother Elder, y'all right with these Yemenese people, They also classified to be Edomites by the doctrine and the video of these people of Yemen. State they're Edomites, but I already know these other people are Edomites. But I went ahead and added them into it. And 72% of Yemen people, they have that J1 haplogroup. And all the other people I was just showing you guys, they have this J1, J2, these branches. And this is a West Asian branch, and it's a mixture and a mutation. Well, they told you 55% of Palestinian Arabs, see, many of the people come from that same branch of these people that say they are the Edomites, all sharing the same haplogroup. This is what DNA showed that these people haplogroups are. And the people I'm bringing up are people that said to be under those haplogroups. Go to nature.com. The ancestors of present northwestern populations were a mixture of early East Asians, people northwestward, and later Central Asians immigrating eastward. This population mixture was dated to occur within the past 10,000 years. See, they putting all these people around the same time, and they got these mutations. Remember, they told you that the older Europeans didn't look the same as the ones that mutated and became pale. The J2 and 172 lineages, but these people ain't the Europeans. These are ESAU. The J2 and 172 lineages likely entered China during the eastward migration of Central Asians. The influence from West and Eurasia. Remember, they mixed with Chittim also, so you would have many of them being Eurasians too, or under that classification. But these haplogroups showing who they are. The influence from West Eurasia through gene flows on the extant ethnic groups in Northwest China was relatively weak, because remember these people migrated over there. They come in there. Remember, these people classified as Asians, Asiatic. These people. Your people, because the Ishmael descendants of they try to classify with Arabs, they're not the same people as these Arabs. They're calling themselves Arabs. They're different peoples. Now, the Lemba are a Southern African Bantu-speaking population, claiming Jewish ancestry, alleged frequencies at 4 different Y-Pacific polymorphic loci, as well as extended haplotype frequencies that include data from several loci, were analyzed in an attempt to establish the genetic affinities and origins of the Lemba. Pay attention, family. The results suggest that, or equal, 50% of the Lemba, remember they're going by the father, Y chromosomes are Semitic in origin. Now we got a problem here, family. Watch this. Approximately 40% are Negroid. So these other black folks, they got this particular Y chromosome. They ain't calling them Negroes or Negroid. They just saying that's Semitic in origin. But if you look, when you go into the haplogroup, you find out these people are of the J Semitic origin when it's connecting to ESAU. So you have a lot of black Edomites too, family. And then not all these people ain't ESAU put on the screen. I'm saying, so how would you defer which one is ESAU or not when they look alike, family? They gave you the genetic group. They separated in their group. You look at some of them and say, you could probably say it might be Esau or not, but you couldn't tell being among a lot of them. The ones that they'll promote up. Because remember, they're all black. Most of them are black. I haven't seen every last one. I don't know if you find any white people among them. I know you have some, but they're not as a part of the tribe people. That's what I'm saying. But all the ones that I've seen that they've been promoting, we have the Israelite ones. They're Negroes, but all of them are black folks, the ones that I've seen. But the ones they separated having a J1 market, they're saying they're Semitic. They're not Negroes. So they don't even call black folks Negroes or Negroes. They like to separate them from us also. The thing about it is, Esau is Semitic, so we can't say not. But the Negroes are the Israelites. Let's say according to the Bible, according to history, according to genetics. Because we know Esau's Semitic. And they separated those Semitic J1 people from the Negro people, right? And those people both were black in appearance. In Acts 13:1, now there were in the church that was in Antioch, certain prophets and teachers. So we know it tells us that the prophets and the teachers. That's what the scriptures itself tells us. As Barnabas and Simeon, that was called nigger. So we know they separated the Negroid black folks from these ones they call them Semitic black folks. So they separated Esau for you. And you have the Negroid, which Acts tells us are the Israelites. that they're the ones called the niggas. And they put them under the Negro term. And it tells us, and the ancestry of remainder cannot be resolved. Because they start resolving you the other ancestry of the other migrations among them. It'll give up their whole scheme. And then a lot of the information that they put to fool you, they have their own narrative. That's why they put Semitic. Then they didn't pop up and say this is Semitic people. They wrote this is Semitic people because they have a certain haplogroup, J1. We're seeing to connect to all the people that claim to be ESAU by history. So all the people I'm bringing up come from specific subclades of that same group. White folks, and we have black folks coming from there. We have mostly white and Arab-looking folks. Because y'all see these as the main faces, like Rothschild, Small Hats, Edomites, the J group. You have the Richard Arabs, who they calling the Arab people. They're not Ishmaelite descendants. They're from one of his daughters and from Esau when the Romans was over there. The real Ishmaelites, they come from Ishmael. They don't come from Esau. Well, these are these people. Like these people, it's not white folks. This is Esau. Because all white, like the first white folks I bring up, when I was telling you, Japhet and Ham shared that same marker before they branch off. Because they even told you that the Europeans, black folks, they had a mutation. They turned pale skin. Now, them weren't Edomites. Them Japhetic people. But all these other ones here, I'm showing these are Edomite bloodlines. Or connected to Edomite bloodline. But not all these people on this picture that I'm showing here. I just put this up to say who can you differentiate from. When they tell you 40% are us, which we know the book tell you the Negro or the Israelites. So we know who the Semitic are. Because we are Shemitic. So they want to put Semitic because they wrote the narrative. They put that narrative down on their DNA sites. They put that stuff to tell you who the Semitics are. And a lot of them, through their information, they don't classify Obama as people as Negroids. See, a lot of them, be black folks, they like to classify them as something else. I guess that they're the black European before migration, the ones that stayed in Africa. Because them and Ham, same subplay. Before they migrated and mutated. According to them, they mutated in skin change. That ain't something I made up. That's why I keep going back to Genesis 36 for a reason, because now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. And this is not even all his descendants. I'm just reading this for a specific reason. Esau took his wives with the daughter of Canaan. So we know he took Canaanite women. And we know he took Ishmaelite women and Bashemat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebuchadnezzar. I'm reading that because I'm going to Haaretz.com. And it tells us Jews and Arabs share genetic link to ancient Canaanites. So those Edomite Arabs, so I was telling you about, and these Jews, which are Edomites, today's Jews and Arabs in Israel, let's read that again. Jews and Arabs share a genetic link to ancient Canaanites. Study finds today's Jews and Arabs in Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and parts of Syria, you have their ancestry from Bronze Age Levantine, who descended from a mix of locals and migrants from Iran or the Caucasus. Most of today's Jewish and Arabic-speaking population share a strong genetic link to the ancient Canaanite. A study by an international team of archaeologists and genetics have found these modern-day groups in Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and parts of Syria share a part of their ancestry, in most cases more than half, with the people who lived in the Levant during the Bronze Age, more than 3,000 years ago. Because we know that Esau took daughters of the Canaanites, the wives of the Canaanites. He got descendants from them. He had a nation of people with them too. That was a migration mutation. So we know that a lot of them that are over there, it's going to be mixed Canaanite, Edomite, because we know that tells us which particular group coming up. Then you got these European ones in there. If you go to White Corner, you'll see which one are actually Japhet, which ones are Esau. The ones I'm bringing up showing these are the Edomites. For those that agree and understand what I'm reading, that Pacific subclade of those Asian people that now look like white folks and Arabs. Even got a group of black folks in Africa that come from a few of them. I didn't put them all up. I just put the few that I know about. See, and that's the trick they would want you to think, because they mix together. They're like, okay, we know in the Bible, Canaanites and Israelites mixed. The whole nation of Israel, they mixed with the whole of Canaanites. That was only certain people among the nation was doing mixed. Now, Israelites will have the least Canaanite DNA as a whole in today's time. And why? Because we know since the Canaanites over a few thousand years ago, family, when we mixed among a few of them, our people that were mixed among them, we moved off. We went into captivities among lots of people. Like the northern 10 tribes, captivity, ultimate desire began during the reign of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. When I was around 745 to 727. So we know throughout this time period, we were going through captivities and mixing among other people. Not the whole nation, it's just certain people among the nation that was doing the mixings and stuff. It's not the whole nation entire that everyone just mixed. No, that ain't whatever they teach. Because that may be the trick they're trying to put themselves in to be Israelites. So that in no way, none of the book teach Israelites lives among Canaanites from 3,000 years ago until today. So they shouldn't be sharing this much DNA with them unless these are children of Esau. Because we went through the Babylonian Empire when they took Jerusalem, 597 BC. Throughout these time periods, there's a lot of mixing over hundreds and hundreds of years. Some nations we lived and mixed among, along after Canaanites, we lived among the Romans family. Remember that? So we mixed among Japhetic children. Some Edomites mixed among Japhetic. We know we lived among Ishmaelites, the real Ishmaelites, not the seed of, but some of them may be from the seed of Esau, some of them seed of Ishmael. We lived among Ham. That's most important, what a lot of people miss. We were living among the Hamites, the most recent. Or what they want to say, so-called Africans, certain people over there that are under that term, because some of them may be Japhet due to their migration patterns and subclade. So we lived among them for 400. We lived among them for a very long time, and before we came here, we come here. We lived and mixed among the natives of the land and the colonizers. So Israelites shouldn't have no big amount of Canaanite DNA, because only Edomites would pretty much be the ones with that amount. Now, a singular Israelite, if he mixed with a Canaanite, then yeah, you can understand why he would. But as a nation, we shouldn't, after all the other nations we went through that are not Canaanites and mixed among these people. That's why we stayed in captivity. They couldn't stop following after these other guys. Now, according to DNA, when you get it up, this is the people that they pull up under those names who follow that genetic haplogroups and patterns of the ancient Canaanites. Now, over to the right, you see this one African guy, because we're going to get to the next one. You see, because some of these Jewish, the small hats, they're Canaanites also. Remember, half the DNA, more than half of some of them are Canaanite DNA. This is what they tell us, and these are the people they bring up as Lebanese that are Canaanites. And saying this is who they're mixed with. And they also bring an African guy up. This is a Canaanite. We're going to tell you this is what they put, because what? You got, they say Canaanites and Ivory Coast, that'll be the picture, these two down here. And they say many of them got there from migration and stuff. They're saying that this is a family, these other guys, and these are relatives of Canaanites or Lebanese. Through genetics, they're saying this is who these people are. And we find out they are through Afro-Lebanese over there, because some Hamites and some Israelites, we mixed with them super long ago. And Hamites also, they come from a Hamite bloodline. So they mixing among some of their own people over there, but most of them are standing among themselves, and they were mixing with Edomites and Arab people, because they made up most of the Arab nations when they were mixing together. Esau mixed with them, they made an Arab nation. Esau mixed with some of Japhet, they come up with certain types of what we would call Arab nations. But these are people they're classifying as Canaanite. We know they always make most of them predominantly white or Arab looking. But you see the black folks, the few that are black, they have in there, because if you look it up, they have some Afro-Lebanese among them. If you pull it up, this come off the one to the very far right. This is off one of the DNA sites. They pull up this picture for these people. So they may most of them predominantly looking Asiatic white or Arab looking, and he look African looking. But these are the Canaanites, what they say. Now, I know the guys at the bottom on the right, you know, these small hats, a lot of them are Canaanites and Edomites. They're saying it was a mutation that occurred. And then they started mixing with Japhet. That's why some of them become into a white-looking white, because a lot of them went into mixing with Japhet. The ones that mutated, they come from Africa to Europe. So it ain't no all white folks to Esau, because most of the white folks that are mutating at first was Japhetic people that come from Africa to Europe. Then you have Edomites that mutated. It was Chinese, Asiatic, what they're calling mixing among Chinese and Japhetic children, causing a mutation also. But I just threw this in. This is what they say: indigenous Japanese, the Andaman Ainu. These are the same people. The ones older tradition where they say the Andaman, and then you got Ainu. This is indigenous Japanese. You got this one group they pull up. They say because a lot of them come from an AB. The origin haplogroup D is believed to be Asia some 60,000 years ago. Remember, we're Asiatic Negroes, but we've been in Africa so long and here, back here now, that they're just trying to turn us into other things, which they've been fooled by their own information because we know what it means. And while they possess a distinct polymorphism with the haplogroup E, so these people had a polymorphism with the haplogroup E. No D chromosome has been found outside of Asia. You see that? So now you got these people. It was part of these same people. And when you look up like the Asians haplogroup, that's why I say one of them they mutated off and become into one of the R subclades. This family tree DNA, Eastern European origin, the R1A lineage is believed to have originated in the Eurasian steppes north of the Black Caspian Seas. The lineage is thought to descend from a population of the Kurgan culture, known for the domestication of the horse circa 3000 BCE. These people were also believed to be the first speakers of Indo-European language group. This lineage is found in Central and Western Asia, India, and Slavonic populations of Europe. 55% of modern-day Russians share this origin. But when you look up haplogroups of origin life, if you Google it, they'll throw up different haplogroups and say J1, and these other haplogroups make up the Russians. But when you look into the information, only 4% of modern-day Russians are of that J1 because they are not these same people. And that's one of the tricks they play. If you don't read the information. I read a few more than I jump out. Let me see. So people ask about this, go to journals.plos.org. Afro-Americans result, the great migration and admixture with whites. Although this is their view, the actual diversity among Afro-Americans is probably the result of their African ancestry and admixture with Black Native Americans. So they tell you Afro-Americans ancestry and admixture with Black Native Americans. There was little evidence of African and European admixture in North America until after the Civil Rights Movement. We know grape and all that, it was doing that, so we know from that. But they're saying using census data, Gullickson found that less than 20,000 mixed marriages occurred between 1850 and 1970. So they didn't add in the grape, so they're just adding it from, I guess, legal terms. As a result, we have to look elsewhere to explain the frequency of between 17 to 22% R1B. Eurasian admixture among Afro-Americans, 2 to 5. There was considerably admixture between Afro-Americans and Native Americans. This resulted from the fact that many Native Americans were Black and had African ancestry. And Afro-Americans and Native Americans frequently worked side by side on the plantations. A majority of North American Native Americans carry the R1 haplogroup. So they're showing a different group of Native Americans. They carry the R1 group. But I ended right there, family. So it don't be too long. I don't know if my brother Elder Yara still there or not. I don't know if my brother Elder Yara still there. I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father. Hallelujah. I don't know if anybody want to come on or speak or anything. I don't know because I haven't seen the comment section. But if the elder come out, I don't know if the elders can hear me or not. But I'll wait a minute or so. Yeah, because I don't expect everyone to believe when you get into the genetic test because we know that they're using different time frames and periods when you're putting it towards the Bible. But if you understand migration subclades, then you have a different outlook or towards the information you're studying. So if anybody had anything they want to say to add to it, or disagreement, it don't matter, because this is the type of topics we need to build on, because I see that's the type of doctrines are being put out about this. Shalom, peace and blessings, Brother Elder Yara.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Hey, man, another great presentation, man. That was, for me, man, that was an excellent breakdown. I didn't expect you to really go into it that way, man, but I'm really surprised, bro, and impressed. Not that as if I didn't know you could do that, but the way that you approached it, it is information that's been shared, but very thorough. And as you said, man, it is a topic of discussion. That has always been taught it and floating around in the community. And it is, especially with a lot of our camp brethren that are out there, this is heavily saturated in their doctrine. And it does lead to, unfortunately, some schisms and divisions among the brethren. So these issues and topics are definitely important to be addressed and to have some clarity and honesty brought to the topic or to the subject without any, I would say, agenda placed behind it other than getting to the truth of the matter. And again, man, another great presentation. Let me see here. I think I can put the link in the chat briefly, man. Let's see.
Yeah, because I know Asiatic, he like to be on these genetic topics if he was around.
To come in. There it is. The link is in the chat. This is just a solid Q&A. This is not a debate. My brother K.O.T, but this is definitely something we talked. I got a brother in the back. Here we go. Peace and blessings to you, man. What's good, Sarah?
Peace and blessings, bro.
Good. What's good? You good?
Yeah, good, bro. Good to hear from you, family.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you was attacking it for sure with the genetics and everything, but I'm trying to understand. So when you're talking about genetics and the migration movements that's going on in like the Middle East area, what is your conclusion on that? Because I think I missed it. I was kind of moving once you kind of got towards the end.
Oh, okay. Well, that from the IJ, I think I read you get that J mutation occurred in Southwestern Asia. I got to go back to what I read, but that's a mutation. Like they do these mutations off dates, like a time frame. Like when the mutation pop up, they'll put at a certain time period. And a lot of these mutations, like they'll put around 10,000 years, because everybody know they got their own flood story of the ice age or whatever, 12,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago. They did it between. So they're also splitting up groups around that time period as if it was a biblical story. But, the biblical time frame, other people will put that in a different time. But it all depends on your doctrine. So I'm just saying these are mutations that they were given, saying these are mutations. Like they're saying Africans entered into Europe and they mutated and got pale skin. That was from the science of anthropologists and top people that I read. And they said that. And that the one black folks saying, these are white folks saying that white people mutated pale skin. They were Africans. So I was saying that's a subclade of Japhet that did that, because a lot of them is modern day Europeans. And then among that, it's a J1 mutation from the Asian continent. Because remember, we're Asiatic Negroes through the Bible and through history, through other scholars and stuff. And these people are Asiatic, and they mix with Europeans, Europeans.
Hey, Sarah, real quick. I'm sorry, Shalom. Sarah, your background, man, is winning right now, bro.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah. I can hear it. I can hear the music. So,
Oh, for real. Hold on. Hold on.
just come off the mic until you're ready to speak.
All right. Yeah. Go
Yeah, but
ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying from basically mixtures and mutations, and from the migration patterns, they would begin to mix, with different people, and they'll would migrate to a certain area. Remember, they all share the same Y chromosome haplogroup, so that's where you had to search for the people because they're sharing the same father through history. If you go all the way back, they even placing an Adam figure in their science and an Eve,
Okay.
but they don't.
So that's where I wanna. That's where the meat of where I'm trying to get with you at. So, geographically, from the biblical narrative, where is this taking place for you, for your doctrine and your interpretation?
Oh,
Starting with Adam.
Well, similar
Yeah,
to
where is
what
this taking place geographically? You don't even got to throw in the genetics.
Yeah,
let's just talk geographic.
Yeah, similar to the same area. I'll say Africa, stretching to the Levant and all that area, towards Syria. I'll say from Africa to Syria, where most of it was taking place.
So you place the geographics of Genesis when they're talking about Adam in Africa.
Yeah. Listen, when it says Adam was placed into the garden, you get that, that part, right?
Yeah.
When Adam put out the garden, he sent back to whence he came. But I'm doing a study not just from that, as because they have a flood. What I was saying too, but the time frame is I'm going from at least Shem, Ham, and Japheth's descendants, at least around that. But yeah, if you're saying Adam, that's why I'll be coming from around that time. Because part of up to Syria was considered part of Northeast Africa.
You said part of Syria?
From Northeast Africa, stretching towards Syria. Not Syria itself, but stretching towards Syria was considered part of Africa.
Okay. So when we see in the Bible and it says, when it's talking about the Garden of Eden, you're saying that the Garden of Eden is in Africa, is in East Africa?
Yeah, I would say northeastern Africa. I would say somewhere in northeast Africa, towards similar to almost what they put in it. But I'd say, like through history, if you know a thing about a compass swap. Now, if the compass swap was actually true, we got to put it back in just Africa towards the Congo areas and stuff. But if they didn't really do a compass swap, we're gonna put it through the archaeology finds. We're putting it in towards the northeast Africa, stretching between Syria, where Abraham descendants were.
And you said that when Adam gets kicked out of the garden, he's now where's his geographical area?
Well, through their genetic map, they'll have all the information through the time for 1,000 years where they're putting the migration. But many would say.
Well, I'm saying, as far as your interpretation, no, Africa, like your
Africa,
spiel.
Let's just say Africa.
So when Adam gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, you're saying he goes to North Africa, is what you're saying?
I would say he got put back in Africa.
So where do you place Cain at? If this is all taking place in the Garden of Eden or Africa, where the Garden of Eden is, where is Cain?
Well, go to the particular scripture because it tell you one of them sent. That's why I don't want to just quote it off the top of my head, to the eastward of what Nod.
Mm-hmm. So this is where I'm having trouble, because the Garden of Eden, geographically, it will make more sense that the Garden of Eden is in Cyprus. And when we get Cain getting banned from Eden, the Garden of Eden, right? He goes east of Nod, right? And we know that his name is Cain. So if we actually like look at this and pay attention, this is more like of a place name. Adam, Eve, these are more like place names. So when we're talking about people getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden, to me, it makes more sense that it's in Cyprus, because if we talking about Cain getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden and east of and he had it what does it say? It says he gets kicked out and he goes to let me see.
What's good,
Where is this verse?
Yeah, I'm not
Let's
getting what
get
you
this
said, brother.
verse.
That's why I didn't base my argument off of that, because I'm just going off the top of my head when you asked me about Cain, though. Because it's like 3 Edens, I think they got. That's what I'm saying. That's on a different like PowerPoint I got getting into that. So I'm just trying to go off the top of my head into that. I'm basing this off of like the descendants of their migration patterns. That's basically what this shows off of. And
Well, even
you get what I'm doing.
Yeah, but even if we're talking genetics and migrations, right? The early migrations and and where we see the populations at early on would be in what you say Canaan or Cain, in this area in the Middle East or the Levant area per se. So even genetics, far as historically wise, not even a biblical narrative, the earliest populations that we see that's close to Africa is in the Levant. And this haplogroup that you're talking about, E, will be also associated with that migration.
Yeah,
do you get what I'm saying?
That's what the show was about, brother. You might have missed it. That's what it was about. I thought you was asking me something totally different, but that's what the show was about. That we was from the Levant region. That's what the whole show was about.
Yeah, but you're saying, but when I asked,
mutation,
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I didn't get what you just asked me, brother.
But that's what I'm saying though is when I asked you where the Garden of Eden was, you told me that it was in Africa.
Yeah, that's part of Africa to us, brother. That's what I'm saying. I didn't get what you say. I don't know if you know that we placed all that on the continent of Africa, of the actual tectonic plate. So that's Africa to us, brother. That's
but this was I know. Yeah, I get that it's Africa.
Yeah, that might be what I'm scared at.
Yeah, well, but this is my thing though. We know that Cyprus is not Africa. You know what I'm saying? And if we look at it geographically from Genesis, Cain gets kicked out and he goes east. He goes east, right? He goes to Nod.
Yeah, but remember, Africa is a new term name. They didn't call none of that stuff, bro. So we going off when you're saying Africa. So it's gonna be under why you're saying what you're saying is because we're using a modern word that didn't even exist before they even changed the borders when they used the word Africa.
Understand, but I'm not. It's not. I don't want to get into semantics. What I'm saying is when the Lord kicks Cain out of the garden.
I'm saying that's a big part of the scholarship, but that part about when the word and the borders were changed and the place was named, that's not semantic. That's actually a big part of the scholarship.
Yeah, but it's not. It don't really have anything to do with actually the meat of what we're talking about right now. Because what I'm saying is what you said was the Garden of Eden was in Africa geographically, as far as what you interpreted from the Bible. I'm saying that that really doesn't make sense, right? Because when we get Cain getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? He says he's dwelling in the land of Nod, which is east of Eden. And if we look at what's east of Eden is Lebanon, Syria, Israel, and Palestine. Yeah. It has nothing to do with Africa. You got the Sinai Peninsula in the middle of those two things.
Yeah, but you're mixing up your question. You asked me about Adam, and then you asked me about Cain.
Well, I'm not mixing up my questions. I'm just because we're talking.
But I didn't put Cain in Africa. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I put Adam though. You saying I put Cain? I just said he went towards east of Nod or whatever. I'm trying to ask you to read the scripture so I can say it correctly.
Anyway.
I didn't put him.
Well, Well, I know, but when I asked you where the Garden of Eden was, you told me it was in Africa. So we also know that
Listen,
Adam
brother,
was in the
Google.
Garden
But
of
listen,
Eden, brother.
so I'm not trying to argue with you, brother. But if you're not listening, that region to us is Africa. You keep misunderstanding the whole point. If you Google it, they're gonna put it down where you got South Arabia and all that connects to that part where Canaan and all that is. That's around the areas of our land, Israel. We know that because the scriptures teach us that. So that's Africa to us. So if you want to keep saying that, I'm saying the same thing. Yes, that's Africa. You're not saying that's Africa. That's what you get at.
Well, I'm not. That's why I say I don't want to play semantics. I'm talking geographics.
We
Without
are, but that's
we
according
understand,
to the tectonic plates that is sitting on Africa's tectonic
brother.
plate.
But
That's not semantics, brother.
there's this the Sinai Peninsula sits in between these two geographical areas that we talking about. So
You,
that's kind of imposing.
you remember
That's
they
kind
dug
of imposing that.
you know they
And
dug
when you said, go ahead.
an artificial waterway to try to separate that land from Africa. I think what it's
They
called. The
dug a
Suez
art.
Canal.
Or
I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think it's the Suez Canal. They dug an artificial canal to try to separate the land. You don't know that?
I don't think that's really I don't think that's making a point, though. You know what I mean? Because
Well, you just
we're
said it ain't
talking
Africa. Is
about.
that what you're saying? Because I don't get your argument, brother. Or you just saying that's not Africa?
I'm trying to. But I'm trying to make sense of what you're saying as far as migrations
Yeah,
in
but
haplogroups, but without throwing all the extras on it, right?
yeah, but
I'm
this
just
is no.
speaking
Let me say this, brother.
geographically.
But
We understand. We understand where where actual Africa is. From today, we understand where Africa is. You understand where Israel is and where the Levant is. Okay, we understand where these places are visually if we was looking at a map. We don't have to play the semantics with what's
yeah, that's
Africa
what
and
I'm
what's
saying.
not Africa,
You're
brother.
going behind what the show's in about. This is semantics. What you do, brother? I told you I was going down from bringing it to the Ham, Shem, and Japhet off of their narrative, brother. You playing semantics. You going the show wasn't even about what you talking about. I told you literally what I was going off of the Shem, Ham, and Japhet lens. I told you where they placed Africa in the show. I mean Adam in the show and things like that. But it's
It's
you basing your argument off something that I didn't put the show upon.
well, the show is about
Mutation and
movements,
migration. That's what it's
migrations,
about.
exactly.
Based
So
on
this is
Shem,
why
Ham, and
I'm
Japhet
asking you about
descendants.
geographics.
You didn't catch it based on Shem, Ham, and Japheth's descendants while I was trying to base my argument centered around. It wasn't based around going back to Adam, Cain, and all the other guys. That's what I'm getting at,
Brother,
brother.
when you pulled up your presentation and you showed a map, it said Adam in Africa.
Exactly, because that's what they put on the. That's what they put
Brother,
on the map for the
this
migration
is
route.
your
You're
presentation.
not. Hold
So
on, brother.
you gotta.
Hold on, brother. I told you that already. That's why I brought it up. I said they showed Adam on the map, but I was basing the presentation off Shem and Japhet. What is your argument?
Okay.
What
So
do you
this is
believe
what
the
I'm
land of
saying.
Eden
So
is?
you said,
Hold on.
okay, so
What do you believe Eden
go
is?
ahead.
Because this is what your argument is. What is Eden at?
No, I'm trying to get
I don't
your
get your argument.
geographic. I'm trying to get an understanding of your geographic. And when I first asked you where the Garden of Eden was, you told me in Africa. So you agree with that map that you
That-
showed, correct?
I said Africa, brother. You gonna keep asking me, and then the region I'm saying is Africa. You gonna keep telling me you don't believe that's Africa, basically. So you don't have. You're arguing about semantics, pretty much.
Brother, no, it's not some. No, you're bringing semantics by trying to change what we understand as the Middle East or the Levant or
No
Israel,
middle.
and you're
There
calling
was
it
no brother.
Africa.
There was no Middle East, brother. This is all new
I'm
terms. Those
using
are semantics, brother.
I'm using these terms to get us to an understanding of where the actual geographic locations are.
Brother,
You
and I
are like
okay.
circling
Listen,
around that right now.
now, brother. I brought them a presentation when they also said the Middle East, even Bantu migration through there, brother. So I don't get your
Okay, so where is the Garden of Eden, brother? Where is the Garden of
That
Eden?
area is considered Africa to us, brother. So I'm still gonna say that's Africa, brother.
Okay, so when we look at the Bible, so we gonna call the Levant Africa then. If that's what you want to call it, we could call it that. I'm not
Yep,
tripping. Okay,
exactly, brother. Because it
so
wasn't named Africa at all, brother. That's what the whole point. If you go
that's
to ancient
fine, but
documents, it's not
we
called
don't
any
gotta
of
do the
that.
semantics. I'm
That's
talking about
not
the
semantics,
geographical
brother.
area. I'm
That's
talking
not.
about the area.
A name
I'm
of a
talking about the
historical place
area.
is not semantics, brother. You can't say
Where's
names of places.
Where's Israel? Brother, where's Israel? Where's Israel? Where's the Levant?
You go ahead, show, brother. That's your map you got up.
If I could pull up a map, I would have been did it.
I'm saying you the one got that up. Go ahead, go to it, brother.
Okay. Hold on.
I don't get your argument. Go with your argument, brother. You saying it's not Africa? Go with your argument, brother. You want to argue all you want, brother. You ain't making no sense because she arguing that court to the show, really.
Okay. No. You're talking about geographics and you're talking about migrations. I'm talking about the same thing. And I'm trying to get your understanding on where the Garden of Eden is, but you want to play this what's African and what's not Africa. I said we could call this area Africa if that's what you want to do.
Right. The argument's over, brother. The argument's over then. If we just you just want to argue over semantics right now.
No, I have it. Trust me, I got it, but you don't want to get to it. So I'm trying to get us to an understanding of where is the Garden of Eden to you. Put the mouse on where the Garden of Eden is first. Can you do that?
And I will go, brother. I just told you they have two locations over there where they present the Garden of Eden to be at. Near the same area,
no.
Let me get my,
you show me. Show me.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Hold on. You just want to argue about nothing. You ain't argue about the Garden of Eden, brother.
Trust me, I'm talking about geographics.
I don't care what the Garden of Eden is.
I'm talking about geographics.
You better follow.
I'm talking about geographics and migrations right now, according to your doctrine. I don't play the semantics, bro. I don't gotta do that.
That's what you're doing right now, brother.
I'm specifically speaking on what I'm speaking on. I don't gotta play semantics, bro. I just said if that's the area, put this area, show me the area that you want to call Africa, because you know what area I'm talking about, but you're trying to call it Africa and play semantics. Hey, I just said Israel.
Hey, brother, could you help us understand a little clearer? Because it just sounds like you coming from a scoffing spirit. It sounds
that's what he coming from.
Yeah, you getting a little too riled up, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't.
No, you might feel like I'm getting riled up because he's playing semantics at this point. I was very calm when I first asked him these questions, and now it seems like he's doing a circular type of argument, brother, and we don't got to do that. We can get straight to the point.
Hold on, brother. You brought an argument not even based on the show. I told you based on Shem Hammer Jafet. Your argument is you want to know where the Garden of Eden was, and if this place is Africa, brother, you just scoffing pretty much like the brother said, brother.
Brother, when I first asked you where the Garden of Eden was, you told me Africa, and you had no problems with where that was. And then you showed a map where it said Adam was, and then that conferred with what you just told me, correct?
Brother, I don't care which scholar you go with, where you believe the Garden of Eden at. I'm not arguing.
Brother, I'm going off of your presentation.
No, that's not my presentation,
Hey, bro,
I don't care what you want it to be.
It sounds like
my argument.
It sounds like you laying a snare. You trying to catch the brother in his words. How about you just lay out what you say is the correct?
I just did, but what he doesn't want to agree. He doesn't want to agree on where his location is, and that's why I'm trying to get an understanding of where are you placing the Garden of Eden, brother? So we can really get to the meat. Let's not play the semantics.
As a listener, hold on, KC. Let me say this real quick, please. As a listener, I'm trying to listen to both of y'all's position, right? I didn't get to listen to K.O.T's entire presentation. I caught you guys late, so I'm tuning in and I'm listening to y'all just going back and forth. So I just would think that it's a little more healthier if you could take like 2 minutes, if that's the amount of time you need, but 2 minutes to explain what is the Garden of Eden. And then the brother K.O.T can just simply respond. Because what it sounds like you're doing is you're trying to lay out a trap. And I don't think KOT let you trap him up like that, brother. So this is like
that's the problem, because he's more worried about what I'm trying to do instead of just giving out his spiel on what he knows.
No, he has a problem with the Israelite teaching that Northeast Africa in the Levant and all that is part of Africa. He has a problem.
I don't have a problem with you trying to call that Africa. I don't care about that, bro. I'm trying to get us on point. I'm not. I'm trying to get an understanding.
Brother, you're scoffing. If you want to do a presentation on Garden of Eden, because you know they place it in 2 different locations over there. So we can do an actual argument on that. But we also know that Garden of Eden is spoken of as a spiritual place too, if you even know about any of that. If you watched like a couple of streamers ago I was in, I brought up a parable towards it, how Adam was in the spiritual realm. See, if you probably didn't catch it. But then it speaks about the earthly Garden of Eden. Many of us teach that part of Levant. No, that's part of Africa. Many teachers on the same tectonic plate of the land of Africa, even though it was never called Africa. It didn't have the names of borders to man put them on them. But you got a problem with me saying that's Africa. And if I say which area, do you believe Garden of Eden in? Because they place it in 2 locations over there. Which one you believe is the accurate location? That's the one on earth. What is your argument? Which one you believe it is? You don't have to believe it's for Africa.
Big dog. I'm asking you a very, very simple question. And it seems like you're making it harder than what it is. I promise you. Listen, I'm asking you the most simple question there could be. And when I first asked you, you told me it was in Africa. Then I started to ask you more questions, and then you started to say, well, this is Africa. Well, what are we talking about? What geographical location are we talking about?
No,
because you're calling 2 different places Africa.
Well, hold on, brother. It wasn't, well, this is Africa. It wasn't none of that, brother. You already know, Israelites, we teach that, brother. Stop scoffing. You know we teach that. It's nothing new. Everybody knows it's like community teach that, brother.
Brother.
Crazy. It's on the individuals that
but you're being disingenuous with me right now.
You should already know what the teaching is, brother. Stop acting crazy.
That's fine. That's fine. We could be where the Israel. We could place that geographical location somewhere around this area. Is that what you're saying, or are you still saying what you first told me, that it was in Africa on the map that you just showed?
Well, brother,
which one is it?
It's exactly what I said, brother.
At some point we got to realize. That once a person gives their answer, sometimes we have to be willing to accept that answer and then move on, whether we agree with it or not, and then present our information. So, Sarah said, I do offer you the opportunity to put together a presentation and then come back and present it. If you have something, a counter to that, or you disagree with that, my platform is open to you for that. But as far as Brother K.O.T. is concerned, I believe he's given his stance, he's given his answer. So I think that what my brother Dominic suggested, is that if you want to take some time and give us your perspective, the platform is open to you to do that. But as far as it being a semantical argument, I mean, I think it's just that, he's given his stance, he's given his argument. If he's not being clear or bringing enough clarity to it for you, that's what this platform is for as well. Then you can come on and, and definitely present that uninterrupted, right? With the same respect that Brother K.O.T. is doing, receives over here, and anyone else that comes and and does a presentation here to offer information, because you and I, brother, we have conversations. So they may not be familiar with you as I am, so that's why, I don't, I let the conversation go, because I know you're about to get to the information, to the truth of it. So, so I understand, how you're trying to, just get to the other conversation, so we can all get on the same page and move forward. So I know how you bring the information out. The people on this platform may not be that familiar with you, because you and I have conversations in that way. So much respect to you for that. I think it's a solid question, but I do think Brother K.O.T. Provided his perspective, Shalakia, and a solid perspective. But definitely come on, man, and share your information. I know you got it. I know you got it. And if it's just for you to say, hey, listen, I just want to have a discussion and a breakdown for it, we can do that, and then open the panel and let's do that.
Okay, I got you. So let me just ask this one more time. I'm gonna ask this is the last time I'm gonna ask, brother. Okay. When Adam gets kicked out of the Garden of Eden, okay, what part of Africa is that he's getting kicked out of? Can you tell me? Where is he migrating out of? What part of Africa is of Eden? Is he? What part of the Garden of Eden in Africa is he getting kicked out of? Can you show me on a map?
I got you, brother. I got much love for it, brother. It ain't really like that. So I get what you're coming at. You just want to argue about it. But yeah, brother, I just give you the name. You wanted me to say the Levant. I just use the name you said. We call it Africa, but let's just say you say the Levant.
You didn't even have to give it a name. You could just show me on the map.
You know exactly what region, brother. We don't have to play games. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't agree with the two locations that they even place in effect. That's what I'm saying, brother. Now, so I can do my own presentation of what I would really believe it would be, but I don't just want to come up pointing on a map because I don't use any little particular map. I like to do scholarship and put it together. Because listen, brother, like that's why I mentioned the compass swap. If it really was the compass swap, then I wouldn't even put it in Levant. I would just put it directly only in Africa. But I know because of the archaeological finds and things that they place in the Levant region, that's why I say that area, brother. Because a lot of GNA, if you didn't understand what I was reading, they narrate a lot of the stuff they put. Because you go through older GNA testers and records, they change a lot of the things that they say. But I base it on Shem having Japhet because I wouldn't go on to go far back at Adam and tell you what Eden is because I don't 100% agree what they say it is. But I get what you're actually getting at, brother. But I ain't really trying to argue over that. I want you to argue how can others receive salvation because the 104,000, like what I put in the show, that really matters to somebody's life. But if the Garden of Eden is more important, you think that we can do a show on that. But I mean, I'm not in disagreement where you believe it's at. I'm saying if you believe it's that, you may be correct because I don't agree with what they say it's at. But I may agree with your information if it's adequate.
Well, I'm just trying. It's not really about the Garden of Eden. It's about location and migration. This is what your presentation basically was spread it around. Migration in geographical areas where people or populations were soon to be. So if we're talking on a biblical narrative, this is why I asked you what I asked you. And you say, okay, it's in the area where they call it the so-called Levant. Correct. Okay. So when I'm asking you, when I'm saying
about the other the guys I say went to Europe from Africa, why not ask me about the actual people I brought the information saying they had pale skin after they left Africa? There's like a mutation. Like why you asking things like that? You jump past my whole presentation because I didn't base it on Adam's time period. That's just because they stuck that on the map. I have to show you that they placed Adam here and here, but they're going off of 100,000 years time frames in the two locations they placed them to almost 300,000 years. That's why I said they don't even agree with the time frame we're placing them in during the biblical. So I know you may not agree with me. That's why I said I didn't base the argument off of Adam and all these things, just about the subclades that came out of that particular line that he held that came up around 70,000 years ago, that these people populated the whole earth. It was those people that came out of that subclade. And that would bring us back to the biblical story, which would be in a different time frame because they dated different. That's why I base it off from there, brother. Now, if we can do a whole show where I can get you all the type of information you want for Adam's time and how they're dating it and all the stuff that they found, now I can do that and we can put the Garden of Eden in. But I'm trying to base it more off our recent time frame of the mutations that they say more relevant 10,000 years, 8,000 years ago. Those migrations recent. That actually comes more to us to know who we are and what's going on, not people that don't even know about.
So even if we're going with what you call a different timeline with the later generations that come in the Bible, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, your doctrine and what you guys claim is that your lineage is with Shem, correct?
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do with Africa because we know Shem's first son is Elon.
We know it all has to do with Africa because that region we told you, brother. That's why I brought up Bantu migration also to show you that the E1B1 subclade was in the Middle East. That's why I keep trying to tell you if you go through deeper information.
Trust me.
Go ahead, brother.
I understand haplogroups in migration when it comes to haplogroup E. I understand that their ancestor is haplogroup DE, which is how you start to get these migrations. This is where the migrations start with that haplogroup DE, and then you get the haplogroup E. Okay, so I don't really want to. I'm not really trying to have a genetic conversation with you. I can, but I don't want. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm like I said, it's more on the your doctrines, geographical placements, and the migrations. And with the fact that you brought this presentation and you're showing Africa and you're bringing Africa into the conversation, this is why I'm asking you what I'm asking you. I'm trying to make it clear.
Do you disagree the Garden of Eden was in the Levant?
No, the garden. I just told you the Garden of Eden is actually. It makes the most sense that it's placed in Cyprus. Okay, so that's why I say when Cain gets kicked out and goes to Nod, he said he's kicked him out and he went to Nod, which is east of Eden. And like I said, east of Eden is Lebanon, Syria, Israel, and Palestine. That had not Africa. Okay.
Brother, yes, that the ancient maps take kind of place that is Africa to the Israelite community, brother. Who I keep telling you, but you really ain't arguing against a lot of the things I believe, brother. It's a word game. That seems like what it is to me.
That has now I'm talking about geographical migrations and how you get to your doctrine and your lineage and the people that you say you come from. Okay, and I'm trying to show you that what you're spilling and the geographical migrations and everything, even if we get into the historical side of it, you're still are not going to see what you're saying because your Bible does not add up with that. Your doctrine does not add up with what you're saying as far as the migrations.
Wait a second, brother. I specifically told you in the video. That's why I said you didn't pay no attention. You got a loud background, brother. Your background killing it. But brother, I told you in the video, this ain't specifically how I know who I am. I know who I am for other means, brother. See, you didn't pay attention to even the video. I said, this is based off the genetic patterns of things that they have, brother. I told you what it's based off. It's not based off of my doctrine. It's based off the genetic patterns that they're showing. We already know who we are, and we know who the other people are through scholarship and history. We're using the genetic things that people are throwing out these days, brother. So you didn't pay attention. You got a total understanding of what you're watching. You're trying to argue about nothing. That's really what the point is. You came to argue about the Garden of Eden instead of arguing about the presentation about the people I say broke off from this lineage of E-clay. You didn't have an argument about how can other people, they're going to be saved that we hear about 104,000. Like you didn't have argument. Yours is about, not the presentation is about. We can do a show on Adam and Garden of Eden if we believe that's called Africa, or do we believe, we know it wasn't called any of them names back then. Wasn't called the Levant either. So you just,
if I was to have a conversation with you,
Elder was gonna say something. Yara was gonna say something.
Go ahead, Yara.
I wanted him to go ahead and speak, but I really ain't got an argument with you, brother, unless you do a presentation on the Garden either. Because you argue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, brother. Yeah, come through a presentation, bro. You're welcome to do that. But if you say, if you're saying that, according to the scripture, right, you're saying things don't add up, because Brother K.O.T, he posited a few things as far as when we talk about east of Eden, because I believe that's what you're saying, that the biblical narrative says that he went forth east of Eden, right? As far as I think you said Cain, right, when you mentioned the land of Nod, that it was east of Eden. How far east are you proposing that may have been?
Well, we're gonna have to get a lot more than just what the Bible is telling us. But I'm going off of specifically how geographics work: east, west, south, north. Okay, and I'm going off of what the Bible is saying. It says east of Eden. East of Eden are the places that I named. So what I'm trying to, even if I was to talk to him and talk about actual historical migrations that have nothing to do with the Bible, he's going to still come on, bro. You're not going to sit here and say that you're not going to tell me anything that's not out of, like, you're going to use the Bible to make your argument, help your argument.
So because you made a specific point when you said you believe that it's in Cyprus, right?
That's my
Yeah,
you feel me? That's me
yeah,
saying that
yeah.
from what I've studied and what will make the most sense. So yes, I am saying that it will make the most sense from
Okay.
what we're looking at. Yes, it will be in Cyprus.
We'll be in Cyprus. Do you have um do you have any um well, you know what? Why don't you come back and tell me why you stopped in Cyprus?
Why I stopped in Cyprus?
Yes.
Why I'm placing the Garden of Eden in Cyprus, or why I'm saying, because I'm not saying eat, I'm saying I don't know how far east of
Right,
Cyprus they
right,
sent Canaan. That's gonna need
right.
some more to it. But what I'm saying is, if we look at it logically and geographically from what they're saying east of Eden and everything like that. From what it makes most sense, east of Eden will be somewhere between those areas that I said, which would be Lebanon, Syria, Israel, or Palestine.
Okay. Uh what about Ethiopia?
What about Ethiopia?
Um you're saying that the Garden of Eden couldn't have been in any of those regions? Simply
Definitely not.
definitely not. Okay. And that's based on
That's based on certain things that allude to Cyprus and that area. That's why I'm saying that. But as far as Africa, like no, it has nothing to do with any of that. The Garden of Eden has nothing to do with Africa. As far as the biblical narrative,
okay. Because here's my thing, and I've had this conversation with indigenous black man. Shout out to indigenous black man. Um, if he hears this or if he comes out, shout out to him. We've had this conversation before about one of the specific locations, geographical locations that the biblical narratives gives about the Garden of Eden. And one of those correlated geographical locations is Havilah. Are you familiar with Havilah?
nah, where's that at?
Okay, so Havilah, actually specifically in the biblical narrative, it's in much closer relation. Actually, it has several locations that are shown for Havilah, right? But in Genesis chapter 2, it refers clearly to the African Havilah rather than the Asiatic Havilah. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying, and one of the understandings of that is that it's where we know that the Israelites uh, were. It was known for its production of gold and other different precious minerals and different things like that. We see a lot of these things were actually exported and imported into Nubia, right? Um, which we don't seem to find these things in Western Arabia, right? So, as Brother K.O.T said, there's many different locations uh, for uh, for Havilah, right? So I would say bring your information, um, do a breakdown and study on Genesis chapter 2. I won't ask Brother KOT to pull it up, but I'll do it right here real quickly, just Genesis chapter 2, really quickly in relations to the Garden of Eden. Let me
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then I'll
yeah.
share
Let me
my
say,
screen really. Go ahead,
I want
go
to
ahead.
say this why you pulling it up, but that's why I keep telling them I don't agree totally with they placing that because I know like some ancient records from the people in Africa, like them has places showing that A lot of these things may have directly been in Africa itself and not even over there. So I don't want to definitively say, yeah, it was exactly over there. When I know these people have been painting a narrative the whole time, but I know that they have archaeology that they placed there or say found there, so I can't go against the total narrative. So that's why I told them I don't have a definitive agreement on that. Why I believe the Garden of Eden is.
Yeah, just like my my good brothers in the chat, the scholars are here, D Red, as well as Indigenous Black Man, who I mentioned earlier, who I know has significant information in regards to Havilah and its relation to the Garden of Eden, because we've had specific discussions on this, and so I would love to get those brothers on at some point and talk about that. But my brother D Red in the chat says Tanetta, or AKA Punt, is where the Garden of Eden is, and if I'm not mistaken, Punt is in the Nubian region.
That's
If I'm
Eritrea.
Is that Eritrea? Punt is
Yeah, that's
Eritrea.
Eritrea.
So
Yeah,
that would be Ethiopia, right?
yeah, it's right next to Ethiopia. Yes,
Yeah,
basically, you could
that
say
would
yeah.
be Ethiopia. So that's what I asked you about that too, as well, about Ethiopia. And the reason why I lean more towards Ethiopia and agree with this to a degree is because even the ancient people of Kemet, they talk about the beginnings of civilization would have been in that region, what we call Ethiopia. They talk about that is where man sprang from, right? Even in the
Yeah,
Kemetic
yeah.
understanding. And if you go back, one of the more ancient tribes that they deal with, or people that we know existed in that land, archaeologically speaking, were called the Badarians. People don't often talk about the Badarians, but the Badarians were the burgeoning culture that existed in the area that we call Ethiopia today. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that the Badarians talk about the garden of they don't use the term most high, but it is the garden of the great one, or the great spirit. And so this is where they talk about this. So I'm more inclined to go with what Brother D Red is put in the chat here, where he talks about Tanetta, right? Right. So or AKA Punt, right? He says where the
Yeah, yeah,
Garden of
yeah.
Eden is.
Well,
So
go
yeah, go
That's
ahead.
ahead.
why
I'm
that's why I'm not against all like the doctrines, because I know about a lot of the information. That's why I was trying to
sorry.
get at the brother.
Call me back real quick, Indigenous Black Man. I got a few minutes. I missed your call, brother. Call me back so I can get you on the speakerphone to speak to this really quickly, because I would love to get your info on this Indigenous Black Man. Give me a call back, bro, if you're listening real quick before we close
So,
out.
this is the problem that I'm having, because if we're talking historically and we're going off archaeology, yes, I would say this 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 is actually taking place. This Homo sapiens and people coming into this new age of what we are now. I would say that's going on in Africa, but the the doctrine does not give us that evidence. It's not really alluding to Ethiopia, Eritrea. It's not alluding to those areas. And especially once we get to the later generations that you guys say that you're coming from.
Okay,
So
understood. So I got Indigenous Black Man. He's on the line, man. Indigenous Black Man. I know we've had this conversation at some point previously, man, in regards to Havilah and its relation to the Garden of Eden. Can you go into
Yeah,
that,
brother.
man? And y'all let me know, man, in the chat if y'all can hear our good brother Indigenous Black Man really clear. Put one in the chat if y'all can hear him speak. It's on you, brother. Go ahead.
Tell me if y'all need to turn me up. Tell me if y'all need to turn me up, because I got a powerful message for y'all this evening.
I can hear you.
he said they, he said
Brother.
they can hear you, brother. They can hear you.
All right. Okay. Well, Yara, this is a question that I've had for a couple years now. We went over this, like you said, we talked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the presentations I was supposed to do on Yara's show months ago, but he's busy man, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's on me, brother. That's on me. Lay that up. Let it. Let it.
Right. You know, but, you got people out here who's trying to take my talking points, fellas. You know, I've talked about Jesus as God. I've been arguing with that about Apostle for a year. I hear over on Judas last night. Somebody, I know y'all ain't heard this information. Anyway, you know, I ain't gonna be messy. Why are scholars still confused? This was the title that I was going to place it on. You know, with Yara. People naming biblical lands after their own names, right? Well, it's not that hard to understand if you're a biblical person. If you read Psalms 49 and 11, it'll tell you. You want to pull that up for him, Yara, or you want me to tell him what it says?
I'm going to pull it up for him. Let me get it real quick.
See, this is if we're biblical people, why are they using, still to this day, these names to call themselves or identify themselves? Hamitic, Shemitic, or Japhetic. The lands of Canaan are still talked about today. These are known facts. And the biblical stance proves that point. Because in Psalms 49:11, which I don't want to take it away, I don't want to take the fun out of it, but I'm going to show you real quick. And I also got that Havila scripture too, Elder Yara.
Yes, sir. Let me share the screen real quick.
Yes.
Bring it out, brother.
Yeah, but I've been doing this for a couple of years, so yeah, I mean, this is a good conversation that y'all having right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And I appreciate Brother K.O.T. for his lesson, as well as Brother Sarah is saying for the question, because it's actually it's a solid question. All right. So Psalms 49 and 11 is on the screen, family.
Okay. K.O.T., you want y'all read it? K.O.T.?
Yeah, I'll read it for him. I got it here. So Psalms 49 and 11, it says, their tombs will remain their houses forever, their dwellings for endless generations, though they had named lands after themselves.
Okay. So that's proof that this Ham, Shem, and Japheth is proving that story. The lands of Havilah is proving that story. The lands of Canaan is proving that story. Easy work. Now, second point. We got, I think it's Genesis 2 and 11 and 12, Yara. I think that's the one you're looking for. And then we got Judges 18 and 29, you know, where it says Dan's the land of, okay, well, I'll wait till you get there. But Genesis, I'm only going to give you these three. But I did want to say that me and Apostle supposed to be doing this debate, is Jesus God? And it's supposed to be in August because he's moving right now, so we got to give the brother some time to move. You know, I've already gave him a year and like 3 months, 4 months. And I was going to ask you if you would help to, what do you call it? Put the show out there. Maybe have me and Apostle on and talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
Before the debate, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No doubt. Hold on, man.
But yeah. That's Genesis 2, 11, and 12. That's Havilah, son of Cush. You know. And then you have Judges 18 and 29 talking about the land of Dan. You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? This is all proven. Just like the bottleneck theory proves that evolution is wrong. You know, because we have many bottlenecks. One of them was the extinction of the dinosaurs, everything. Then we had Noah's flood also as one. You know, there's a couple other ones, but, I'm just going off the top of my head right now. But Noah's flood is another one. You know, if we believe as believers, then we believe in that flood. And we believe that those animals were, killed off. So how can you have evolution in a couple thousand years, Yara?
Correct. Agreed.
In 1,000 years, Yara.
Yeah, agreed.
2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000. It don't work that way. We've seen history over thousands of years, and ain't nobody evolves. And if there was evolution, why is they still monkey? Anyway, easy work. Like I said.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by the geographical names? Like, what is your?
But I'm just saying that's where Hava, you know, if you're talking about Hava and then judges, there's the last name. So, and then the last point. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. One of the last points I want to make, you know, because you know this shit's getting out of hand, and I'm gonna say it straight up. Any Bible believer, if you believe in evolution, you've lost your mind. Okay? Evolution, that's like oil and water. Evolution and creation do not mix. That's a debate that I've been wanting to have for years too. Evolution versus creation. But evolution and creation don't mix. And part two, your origins come from the Garden of Eden. If you are a true Bible believer, that's it. End of story. Because you can't be a true Bible believer if you don't believe these things. So stop playing with the scriptures. Stop trying to add signs. Stop trying to be like the Pharisees and add your own, you know, words and laws to Sabbath and everything else that they touched. And get realistic and back into the book, because that tells you your origins. And a lot of the things in this thing is telling you the truth. You know, there is no one species jumping from another. They all came at the same time. When they were created, they were all created at the same time. A gorilla was created, a chimp was created, and an orangutan. They didn't evolve from one another.
I'm trying. Can I ask you, brother? What do you? Can you hear me?
There was no design.
He may not be able to hear you.
Oh, they can't.
They can. We can hear you. We can hear you, but he's trying to ask you a question. I don't think you can hear him.
What did he say? What did the brother say?
I think he wanted to ask you a question. Go ahead. Sorry, he's gonna let you ask the question.
So I'm trying to get what you mean by the
Oh, go ahead.
by their using. I'm trying to get to an understanding of what you mean by they're using geographical names present day now, and that's what's proven the scripture. Because I'm also using the names as actual geographical locations, but I'm trying to get to an understanding of what do you mean by they're using names as geographical locations.
Now, I'm just proving to you that scripture tells you, okay, who call themselves Hamitic, Shemitic, and Japhetic?
I could barely hear him.
Africa.
Can he start over? I can't even. Can you tell him start over? I can't even hear him like that.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead. Maybe he should hear you again. Try it again. Go ahead.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Now, over there in Africa, are there still people who use the terms to describe themselves, Hamitic, Shemitic, and Japhetic?
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Well, it is. They do. Okay. And then these names of these lands, right? They are after Ham, Shem, and Japheth, after the flood. The sons of Noah. The scripture says in Psalms 49:11, they call their land after their own names.
Okay. Okay.
Havilah is the son of Cush. Okay, go ahead.
So you're saying what I'm saying. They're using their names to, you feel me, make their mark on their land. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So
they're using their names for those lands, and they're still using them today.
Okay. So
Scripture is true.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to tell the brother who made the presentation, that if we looking at it from the biblical narrative, right, and these geographical places and the migrations that are taking place, it has nothing to do with Africa besides Ham. So this y'all don't come from Ham. So when we look at the names like Adam, right? That's a variant of Edom. When we look at Cain, we understand that's the land of Canaan. Okay, these are place names in what the Bible. Yes, brother, you just agreed. You just agreed, and you just agreed. So if we look, so hold on, brother, hold on. We're getting these. Hold on.
One at a time.
We're getting these names in the beginning of the Bible. So later on in the Bible, God is telling the Israelites that this area that these place names represent is your actual land. They're already in Genesis, they're already making their mark by placing Adam, the Garden of Eden, referencing or alluding to the Garden of Eden being in this area. And when we get the name Cain, and then so forth and so forth, all these geographical areas that's in the Levant are being established in Genesis. So once God starts telling you, or Yahweh starts telling you that this land that's in Canaan is your land, this is how they're establishing it by giving these place names from Adam and Cain and even those things. This is how they're doing that.
Yeah, but by the biblical narrative, you understand the migrations that happen in the narrative, brother. That's what you're leaving out. We know about the migrations, how Canaan went into the land in the time they went, and when we went into Egypt and things like, and so on, brother. You going to Adam as if we was given the land in the time of Adam. We were.
You were, and that's what I'm saying. This is how this is how you guys are establishing. This is how the book is establishing that the land of Israel or Canaan is your guys' land, because they're already basically placing these eponymous ancestors in that area. But what you're ignoring is your lineage comes from Shem. Brother, no, hold on. I'm almost done. Let me land, brother. You're saying I'm ignoring the migrations. No, I'm not. Because when I brought this up, I said, if we go on to later generations and we look at Shem, which you guys said that y'all come from, his first son is Elam. That has nothing to do with Africa. There's an actual place called Elam, which is in Iran, brother. Do you understand that?
No, this is the problem, brother. You are incorrect on the way you interpret in scriptures, brother. That's what the problem is.
Okay. Tell me where I'm wrong.
The scriptures predestinated us to land of Israel, just to let you know that if you read the scriptures. That's before you even, the Genesis narrative, that just placed in there. We know that. But Yahweh himself, through the scriptures, why you read, tells us this land was given unto us as an inheritance. He said this land was given to you before the world was made, that we was already chosen, before the world was. So you ain't understanding why we took these migration routes and things that happened. Why Canaan went into our land when they was told not to. And why the war started happening because of that. See, brother, you skipping out the narrative teaches, and that's why you coming up with your own doctrine. We're going off of what we know the book teaches. That's why we bring out the narrative. Well, I brought out the presentation that I brought out, because I'm going off what the scriptures say. You have your own narrative the book don't teach. We know that the lamb's given us, even the Shem, a priesthood. But that's why I said that you have an argument about Garden of Eden. And I say that's the same thing you're saying, like our brother said, Eden is our land. Okay, I say that's correct. But the argument is, where's the real land of Israel? That's the argument today still. So that's what I'm saying. Some say it's in Africa, some say we're really in Levant. So
no.
So go ahead and what you arguing about.
No, because that's not what that's not the narrative. That's not the narrative that your Bible gives, brother. You're saying I'm skipping stuff, but I'm actually telling you, I'm actually agreeing with what you're saying, but you're trying to find somewhere to cut in what I'm saying. Brother, you agreed.
No, I told you we agreed.
You agreed that the Levant, that this area is the Levant. Okay, you already agreed.
And I agree we call it Africa. I agree Israelites.
Okay, so and then the brother on the phone said that these names that you're getting are actually place names. Okay, and he also went on to say that this is actually proven the scriptures. Okay, so if we are all already agreeing. Okay, so how is God giving you a land that you were never in? Right, I just told you how, because this is where the Garden of Eden and Adam and Abel and Cain, they're trying to establish this land already in Genesis. This is how you're getting this land, and that's why it's saying you're inherited to this land. How are you going to inherit some land that you have no ancestors from?
So now your argument making more sense, brother. You're getting on point. I was trying to figure out what you're talking about. So you basically agree. We all agree together. It's just the same argument. It's just that same argument.
But what I'm saying though is, Africa has nothing to do with any of that. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole focal point of what I'm saying. We already agree. So what I'm saying is this Africa migration that you talk about in your presentation, we gotta.
What it has nothing to do with anything. What you mean Africa has nothing to do with any of that? What do you mean by that?
What I'm saying is the narrative and what you guys accept, right, is that your lineage is coming from Shem. Okay, where in the Bible narrative is it saying that Shem or his sons were migrating out of North Africa into wherever the hell?
Well, it teaches that it was a flood. It teaches we landed Mount Ararat or whatever. It teaches we spread out from there and back into another migration. That's what it teaches. But everybody original DNA, like you keep going back to Adam, they keep tracking through migrations. You're gonna find our DNA back in Africa. Because we all been throughout all these regions before. That's history we talking about. So if we're talking about history, then we're talking about a group that was haplogroup E, like you said, okay, and they're migrating out of Africa. But what does that have to do with the actual people that are there and what they're doing, and how does that add up with Israel? Like, what does that come to? You know what I'm saying? What does that bring us to if we're saying that the biblical narrative is not on point, but this historical narrative, it makes a little bit more sense because we're talking about Africa and you're saying these things like the Garden of Eden is in Africa, and like, so I'm trying to get like, where does Africa come into play as far as this migration? Where does Africa come into play? From about the stuff you just said, I see that like you didn't catch that your narrative that what I was putting. So I get it. That's what it is. We didn't. I told you I didn't put their narrative above like it's the total narrative. I put a biblical narrative using towards a genetics that people are spewing nowadays, showing how it connects to things that the Bible is speaking. They use different time frames, like 10,000 years, 70,000 years, like things like that. That's why I brought up the E subclade. You agreed that we all branch off from a subclade, the recent humans. They say that's 70,000 years. That's when I brought up using. I brought that for a reason, so we can branch off getting towards the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, because they all share the same Y chromosome, all brothers. It's through their migrations and their marriages, and when they mix off with the descendants, that's what it was about. So, and the point was, I'm going off of the narrative. I know what the scriptures teach. You are against because you believe that there's a different narrative that you believe the scriptures teach. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what's coming in at. But Africa that's a new name. All those places these names are new, brother. We know that. That's the semantic part, but it's not semantics when you have to get back to historic or documents. That the borders, the book teaches us that lands was by borders. So it wasn't they named this place Africa and this and that. They had borders of the region that belonged to them. So it stretched farther out than you would think these borders they own did, brother. And I think that's what the problem is, because we believe the borders to stretch farther. They own parts of what you're calling Levant, we call Africa. Many teachers on time to play do the science. That's what they teach.
So if we're going, like you said, you use the genetics to prove or show how it adds up with the Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, I understand that part. But
Bantu migration,
what you're leaving out, what you're leaving.
Talking about, brother. The Bantu migration played the biggest part of migrating all throughout the region.
Give me 1 second. Let Indigenous get in for 1 second. He's been holding patiently. Let him get in 1 second. Go ahead, Indigenous.
It comes in with Mizraim, man. That's where it comes in. That's, you know what I'm saying? Those lands were given to Mizraim. You know, they once were the lands of Ham, Shem, or Noah. given to his sons, split up, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, Mizraim, and Cush, Ethiopia. That is Ham's land. So it's you have to rightly divide the lands. You pull up a map on on your spare time. Pull up a map of the lands of Ham, Shem, and see, because this is what we're dealing with. The evolution of the map. This is where I say you have to start at the origins of the Garden of Eden, and then just like, let's take some more modern terms like Jamestown, Virginia. That's the name after King James, right? So we know that these lands are being named as you're expanding out, right? So these are, constructs given by, authoritarians or whatever, the rulers who are naming the lands or renaming them. They could have been called something, but, your origins start at the Garden of Eden, and then it spreads out. And like I said, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, you're over there, you got to rightly divide the area. So you need to start pulling up the maps. That's one of the main things. You can see how, the transition from it being, just the Garden of Eden to it is today, where we have our states divided by lines, imaginary lines. And like I said, the lines of a map, this is the one that I created, division is an age-old weapon used just like the lines of a map. It keeps us divided, right? So that's what the origins of the map is really what counts. But the main focus that we should be focused on is that the scripture Psalms 49:11 is telling them that they called their lands after their own names. You got examples like the Havilah, Genesis 2:11. You got Judges 18:29 talking about the land of Dan, whether you name after Dan or whatever, So this is the main focus for us believers, because like I said, we're coming out of the Garden of Eden, so we're right there, and then names start being given or being changed.
And and that's where we agree as far as names. We agree on that. We all agree on the names and the locations. But once it
bringing in the scientific racism part behind it, you're not adding to where they burnt books from those times, or those books, they change because the books only, paper only lasts for a certain amount of time. So you have retranslations and reconstructions of these works, and people were manipulative. We know that people are sinners. Flesh is wicked. So, you got to add that in too, because, you got us out here arguing Havilah groups, and you're talking about Mendel's Law. But most people would say, that's Mendel's Law. Not people talking about that. Let's talk about Mendel. That's, but eugenics took that and Mendel's Law and then weaponized it and made it a racist thing. So, that's what I'm talking about. We have to keep that in mind, too. You can't just go in blindly thinking that these people ain't lying to you, and these people haven't been lying to you from the inception. And I'd like to say peace and love. Have a nice day. Keep your head high and your grass low, and quit lying to my people.
Peace, brother.
Peace, brother. We already agreed. So we ain't no going back. We already agreed on the names and them being place names on geographical lands. So what the problem, now we get into the point where the problem is of the migrations. Okay. So if we're talking about around the time of 13,000, 15,000 years ago, okay, when the Natufian culture is in the Levant, and then you're saying that this kinds of alludes or adds up with the ancestors that they're placing in the Bible narrative, the migration that's taking place is happening in the Levant as far as this culture and where you guys are to get your later land. But in the biblical narrative, if we look at the migrations after once the flood happens, you guys are not nowhere in this area that you're calling Africa, this Levant area that you're calling Africa. You just told us that the flood was over there in Armenia. So this is where the discrepancy is happening with the migrations, and you trying to allude the genetics to the biblical narrative.
Let me jump in, brother, because you keep missing it. That's why I keep throwing the Bantu migration. Okay, we was in Egypt. Our DNA haplogroup subclass is going to be in Africa, brother. We're not the only people that hold a Shemitic haplogroup. So it's not only us, brother, that spread around. That's a lot of things you're missing. And then they also find the DNA is defining because at the dates they're giving are going to be pre-flood also, brother. So that would be one reason you find so many in one area because they're giving pre-flood genetics if you pay attention to the argument. And we was in Africa, our DNA is going to be in the Bantu migration. I read it moved this DNA, Bantu migration being all throughout the Middle East, all throughout Africa, brother. So it misplaced to even be one of a subclades, brother. I brought that up, but you can go into depth on that study and it teaches you about that. But that's one of the things because of the migrations. This subclade got misplaced among a lot of people, and the Bantu migration was a big part of that. But we also was in slavery in a lot of these places, so. That's why I bring it up. That's why one of the mutations ESAU would get because that's one of the places ESAU left and migrated to. He was Asiatic also. He went through China, Eurasia. He was all among these people. Amalgamated with part of Japhet. So that's the reason, brother, because these other subclades come through later on because of mutations and migration. All I'm doing is just that once that you see on the map. That's why I bring up more than one picture because that's just how they just throwing them on the map. Because they can give you thousands of years from what they're dating of migration patterns, brother. They can't even put that on a map. You could never even tell what was the actual migration from being over 100,000 years, brother. So they put basic migration patterns that they find due to certain genetics they find.
Mutations, yes, I understand. They're using the mutations to say where the migrations at the time the migrations are happening. I understand that, but. The problem is you bring up the Bantu migration, and once we get these people migrated into the Levant, ain't no more Bantu. Well, I'm just going with what you're. I'm walking with you a little bit, right? Ain't finna be no more Bantu. This haplogroup that is a haplogroup E is now a different subclad in the Levant area. This has nothing to do with Bantu or anything.
Bantu is a group of the break off of Israelites. When many of them fled,
Bantu is a language. It's not a. It's a language. It's not. It's not a. It's not.
Exactly. This is a language that we're talking about.
Right, so people don't realize that when you talk about haplogroups and migration patterns, that's what these haplogroups are based on. They're based on the migration patterns. So when you're following the Bantu when you're looking at Bantu speakers, this is how you can track or trace the migration of the Bantu speakers of the language, right? So if you're looking at the screen, right, and we're talking about the Natufian culture, and D-Ray had put the information, and he mentioned it as well. So this is part of the presentation that I've had prepared for a while, specifically to deal with this topic. So if you talk about the Natufian culture, which some place about 9,000, from 9,000 to 12,000 BCE, right, or somewhere in that variation. So I'll just read it for you, and then I'll go into the link that I have down here to show you where I got the information from. Right. So it says the culture was a late Paleolithic archaeological culture that existed in the Levant region, including present-day Israel, Lebanon, and Jordan from around 15,000 to 11,500, right? The Natufians were hunter-gatherers who spread over modern-day Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. They were known for bringing basalt from afar, right? The Natufian culture occupies a special place in the evolution of human societies in the Near East, as it was the threshold to the emergence of farming. So they brought with them the agriculture. They were agrarian society of people, right, or culture. And so here's what I pulled out of the article. It says, so the Natufian people lived in the Eastern Mediterranean. That's all those areas you talked about, Cyprus, Lebanon, Syria, right? In present-day Israel, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. The unique position of the Natufian and the sequence of Levantine prehistoric cultures has been studied. The Natufians appear to be an out of Africa population and are considered an early biblical population, as their area included parts of Western Asia. And so this goes along this, and honestly, this agrees with you in part, but it also agrees in totality with what K.O.T was talking about. And I'm going to go to the article here, so you can see where I pulled it from. So it pops up. And here it comes. I'm going to share that. Right.
But yeah, thank you, Elder,
so sometimes it just takes it. And go ahead. It just takes. Sometimes it just takes some conversation, like you can discuss, like you brothers are having.
He putting us in a deeper study of why we.
Because and I understand what he's saying, and the question that he's getting to. This thing drives me every time.
You know, I'm saying he's going to, like, all the questions he asked, he's going into a deeper study of why we believe and teach what we teach. Like that. That's why I say thank you, Elder, because you're going into reasons why I'm saying Bantu and things like that. Because Bantu means people, and we know that they misplaced haplogroups because of the migration. You know, Israelites broke off and became part of the Bantu movement. See, that's what I'm getting at. But we have to go into deeper studies to tell them why we're saying these things, and you right offhand with.
But we gotta understand, brother, the Natufian people, they don't have any Caucasus ancestry, and they don't carry a light skin allele that's associated with light skin. Okay, so your biblical narrative is coming from a mixed population perspective, not a homogeneous perspective. This is the problem when I'm saying you're talking about migrations. I'm not saying there's a problem with you saying that haplogroup E and ended up being in the Mediterranean area, and these are the people of the Levant. I'm not disagreeing with that.
But you're still agreeing with me, brother, because the point is, I told you specifically, it's based off of their studies of their time frames and the people that it adds up to things that said in the biblical narrative. I think we hear you now, Elder. But I think that's what you're missing, brother. We still agree. I think you went back out. Are you there, Elder?
Okay, here it is. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you.
Read this. I wanted to get all these little pop-ups. Yeah, I want to get these little pop-ups off of here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this in the chat too. Right. Just to show you just this information. I got this information from on the Natufians, and I bought this out to Garfield once before when I showed him that the Natufians first migrated out of Africa and into the Levant, and then you see some back traces of them going back into Africa. And following this 1B, this happens over a period of time, but then you see also heavily fluctuation of them again appearing in Levant again. So like I said, I don't disagree with you, brother Saracen and whole, but I understand what you were asking and what point you was trying to make. So let me get back to this right here, and see when it talks about. This is a good paper to go through, right? It talks about the Natufians being in these lands, right? It talks about the Scuba village is believed to be one, if not the oldest Natufian cult villages in Palestine, right? And many ruins around Shurba are proof of these very ancient beginnings. Scuba was first inhabited during the Natufian era. The Natufian culture is defined by an assemblage which includes microlithic components of complex tools. Natufians may have moved within a territory to exploit their resources most effectively, but they certainly maintained base villages. So these weren't just people who were just barbaric or ne'er-do-wells. They had communities, they had villages, they had clearly laws, they had a belief system. So clearly they were, by all terms and definitions, a civilization. They were a civilized people, right? And then you have the Natufian culture and the origin of the Neolithic Levant. And let me click on that and see what we get. And so this is what I often tell people as well. When we're reading about this Genesis story or the story of the beginning of man, I know people are often attributing it to being 6,000 years old. The biblical narrative does not give us that. It does not give us that for the beginning of mankind. See, if you're talking about Adam in the terms of the biblical narrative, you're talking about the beginning of mankind. By the time we get to the biblical narratives and we can go back 6,000 years, and it gives us, what it's giving us is a not the beginning of Adam and Eve per se, but the beginning of the bloodline of the Israelite people. That's what it's tracing back to. So it's given, it's referencing an epochs of time.
I don't see, and that's the thing, right? This is why I brought up place names, and this is why I agree with your indigenous, because these names that they're giving at the creation of mankind, when you get Adam, these are just place names in order for God to say that he's giving you this land that you're inheriting. But this is not actually historically accurate when we look at migrations and how things played out in the biblical narrative, because these people that we're talking about, these Natufian people, they don't have any Caucasus hunter-gatherer ancestry at all. Okay,
I don't know why you're interjecting Caucasus ancestry. Why are you doing that?
Because when we get to the flood, you guys are in the Caucasus. This is the problem.
You say we're in the Caucasus. You see, hold on, watch this. Watch this. What you just said. This is what you said. When we get to the flood, based on that narrative, right? Based on the flood, so according to the biblical narrative, right? It is the only surviving family of Noah and his family that is in existence after the flood story, right? So that tells us, when you say Caucasus, that doesn't mean that that's not telling us clearly that they originated from the Caucasus regions, as you put it. That tells us that they came from one land and settled in another land after the flood. So just because they moved from one area to another area does not constitute a change in their DNA.
It has to, because it has to, because if you're going to sit here and, first of all, like I said, we disagree on the fact that you're saying that when we get Adam, this is establishing lineages. I'm saying it's actually establishing the land for God to say, this is your land. So when we get to the flood narrative, this is where the lineage is actually being established. This is where the lineage is actually being established. And this is why I say the Natufians don't have any Caucasus hunter-gatherer in their ancestry. And when you guys start your lineage, you guys are in the Caucasus area. This is why.
But E1B1B in the DNA he just showed you does not have any Caucasus DNA.
I'm telling you that's the problem. That's the problem.
What's the problem?
You guys cannot have a lineage coming out of the Caucasus and then say that, oh, well, the lineage is actually starting when the Natufians are there in this area, when the Natufians don't have any Caucasus hunter-gatherer ancestry. They don't.
This is what I'm saying. You don't hear what you're saying to yourself. If you're talking about, you keep saying after the flood they don't have Caucasus. They wouldn't have any Caucasus DNA after the flood because they originate from that area.
Yeah,
They didn't originate from
no. I think you're mixing up what I'm saying. No. Go ahead.
They did not originate from that area. You see? They did not.
Where did they originate from? Because you guys are saying they originated. You're basically alluding that they originated from this area that the Levant people are in.
No, we're not.
So then, where did they originate? If it wasn't the Caucasus.
Hold on. It tells us, right? So let's go. Let's go back, right? Let's go back. I'm gonna show you the areas that they're talking about, right? Hold on, I'll put it up for you. I'll pull it up for you. I'm gonna show you. I want to show you a map.
You funny, Yara.
Man, you have no idea. I'm gonna show you a map. All right. I'm gonna show you where we get this information from. Let me get it. I guess I'm just waiting for this thing to pop up. It's coming. Let me share my screen. I just wanted to get to the verse real quick. Come on, man. I hate this thing. I'm trying to get I'm trying to go back to Genesis, the 2nd chapter. That's what I'm trying to get back to. Let me go to the blue letter real quick. That'll be easier for me to read it. I'm trying to get to Genesis, the 2nd chapter.
And this is why I brought up the Garden of Eden. This is not me making a Garden of Eden argument, but this is why I brought it up. Because now we at the point to where are we really talking about now? Where are they originating from?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you these people. Hold on. Come on, man. Come on. Finally, here we go. I want to show you something. It really is. There we go. I got too many tabs open. This screen. Okay. Now follow me here, right? Let me go to okay. Click. So Genesis chapter 2, right? Creation of man, the planting of the garden. Watch this. And the Lord God planted the garden eastward in Eden. There he put the man he had formed. And now made the Lord God retreat So watch this. It starts to tell us what Easter, right? It starts to tell us eastward, right? Uh, eastward of Eden, right? It says he planted a garden eastward in Eden. So we know Eden was a very large expanse. Eden was a very large place. And in the eastern portion of Eden is where the garden rested, right? Oftentimes people misunderstand the scripture in context when it talks about, come on, man, when it talks about the Garden of Eden, right? They just make it this as this one thing, but it's given us two different. It's given us Eden, and then it's giving us a specific location in Eden, right? So this is eastward in Eden. It says that there he put the man whom he had formed. Now let's go down to verse 10. It says, and a river, I get too many tabs open. And a river went out of Eden to the water to water the garden, right? It says, so that river went out of Eden, right? Came out of Eden to water the garden. And from there or from thence, it was parted and became into four heads. So now we know that it was one river, four cataracts split off from that one river. It says the name of the first cataract, right, as I would say it, is Pison, right? And now watch where Pison is located, or Pison. It says that is it which compasses, that means it goes around, it almost circles around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good, and there is bdellium and the onyx stone. We know that those are African and resins of Africa that comes from the tree. The bdellium and the onyx, and it's going to talk about the sap from these trees. It says that the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compass or run around the whole land of Ethiopia. Now we have two different locations in Africa. We have Havilah and we have Ethiopia, right? So we know it's, and the reason why these two portions of the land were mentioned first is because these were the largest portions of the land of Havilah. Because watch what it says about the other rivers, right? It says, and the name of the second river is Gihon, the same encompasses the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. Now, what is the difference between those two first rivers of Ethiopia and Havilah? Those two first rivers circled, it encompassed around. Why does it tell us that? Because those are the two largest places of the east part of Eden, right? It doesn't tell us that about the last two rivers, the ones that go into Assyria, and in the fourth one in the Euphrates. Why? Because those rivers do not encompass those particular parts of the land, right? Like the first two rivers do. Watch this. So it's given us specific locations, specifically leading with Africa, right? Now let's look at the they call it the African hypothesis, right? They call it the African hypothesis. Come on, I want to show you that real quick, right? And I know it's getting late. I know you can see my screen right here. It says the African hypothesis, right? It says W.F. Albright in the 1922 publication, The Location of the Garden of Eden, states that the Havilah of Genesis chapter 2 refers certainly to the African Havilah. Why does he say the African Havilah? Because there's other lands that we know of that has at least 4 different rivers called Havilah, right? Rather than to the Asiatic Havilah, which would have been in the east, which lay opposite. So why does it say it lays opposite? The Asiatic Havilah lays opposite of the African Havilah, right? Because it's in two different regions of land, one to the east, right, which is the Asiatic Havilah, and then the African Havilah, right? They lay opposite of each other, right? So we know what expanse is given us for Africa, right? It says, since it is said to produce good gold, gum resin, and malachite, all of which are important products where? In the Nubian desert.
That's fine, right? See? But your problem, this is the problem. Brother just told me that you guys consider the Levant Africa. Okay, so we already have a discrepancy. We already have a discrepancy right there.
That's not a discrepancy.
That's definitely a discrepancy when you just described these cataracts of the river being in Ethiopia. That's nowhere near Ethiopia.
I'm going to help you again. Yes, it is.
Hold on. And we also know historically, factual, we know that Ethiopia, we understand that Ethiopia was mixed up with Maluha. Okay, where's Maluha? Hold on, brother. Okay. No.
Hold on.
Let's get it right.
Borders and inheritance. That's what.
No, we don't need all of that. We don't need all of that.
Hold on, brother. Stop saying let's get it right. You need to get it right. Now listen. It says Genesis chapter 10 gives the name Havilah twice. Once in verse 7 among the sons of Cush. Who are the sons of Cush? Cush is another name for Ethiopia.
Exactly.
Right. So when you just said it had nothing to do with Africa, where's Ethiopia?
Brother, that is a narrative. This is a bit. You're gonna have to get more than that. Because we, like I said, historically, hold on. Historically, we understand that Ethiopians got mixed up with Maluha, which is outside of Africa. And you already said that y'all consider the Levant Africa.
Listen, brother, it's not that we consider the land, the Levant Africa. There's parts. Let me help you, and then you should stop talking.
Yeah, and they're right there with each other.
Don't go. Let's do it. Then.
Hold on. I got you.
Please get with me.
I got you. All right. I'm gonna tell you why the Bible is correct.
Oh, you definitely ain't doing that.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Can you see? Hold on. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, but I could barely. It's really. Hold on. Let me see if I could. Go ahead, because I can't really see it. It's kind of small.
Okay, I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see it. Right, and it's called plate tectonics in Israel. Right. Now, I'm going to really read this for you. It's the plate tectonics. Stop. Plate tectonics theory in Israel played a role in shaping the geological features and dynamics of Israel. However, might not be as prominent as in other regions with more active tectonic activity. So here's how plate tectonics apply to Israel. Pay attention. So beneath our feet lies a dynamic, mesmerizing phenomenon. Furthermore, it has shaped the face of our planet for millions of years. Plate tectonics, right? So imagine a giant jigsaw puzzle where colossal puzzle pieces constantly shift and interact, giving rise to the landscape we know today. Brother, your background is winning. Let's dive into the captivating world of plate tectonics, right? Watch this. Let's look at it, right? They're showing you how plate tectonics work. Looks like a jigsaw puzzle, right? But let's get to it, right? Let's get down here, where it talks about it's just telling you how it works. I want to get down to the parts of Israel, right? So here, talking about Israel's most significant tectonic feature, right? So when it talks about Israel's tectonic feature, that is the shifting landmass or the landmass underneath the first strata or the ground level where Israel actually sits upon, right? We're not talking about no imaginary lines made by men. We're talking about what the biblical narrative just says in Genesis chapter 2, right? Verse 10, right? When it talks about the Garden of Eden placed in the eastward part of Eden, being encompassed by the rivers of Ethiopia and Havilah, right? Which we know is in Africa. Watch what the scientists say, brother. The geologists say this. Israel's most significant tectonic feature, that's the landmass that it rests upon. Israel is the Dead Sea Rift, part of the larger East African Rift system. So where does it say Israel rests upon, brother? East Africa. Where is Ethiopia? East Africa. Where is Havilah? East Africa. So according to the geologists, Israel rests upon the land of Africa. What you're arguing, brother, and I get it, I understand it, those are the borders, the imaginary borders. And this is what Brother K.O.T. tried to bring out to you earlier when he showed you, tried to talk to you about the Suez Canal. That is a man-made division. The Suez Canal did not exist during the biblical times. They dug that. Men made that canal. That's not a natural formation, right? So this is where they separated the land. Now watch this. It says this rift is a divergent boundary where the African and Arabian plates slowly move away from each other. The rifting process has led to the forming of what? The Jordan Valley, the Dead Sea, and the surrounding landscape. The Dead Sea Rift is responsible for seismic activity in the region, including occasional earthquakes. And you can see it here. This is the land. This is what they're showing you. It says the boundary between the African and Arabian plate that runs through the region of what? Israel also forms a transform boundary. This boundary is related to the movement of the Red Sea. Where did the Israelites cross? In the Red Sea, right? According to the biblical narrative, where the Arabian plate is moving away from what? The African plate. The movement along this boundary can lead to a minor seismic activity, right? Now let's get to right here. This is what this is geological history. This is not us. This is not the biblical narrative. This is what scientists tell us today. Plate tectonics theory in Israel, geological history. Furthermore, over millions of years, the interaction between the African and Arabian plates has led to the uplift and folding of rock layers, contributing to the formation of mountain regions and mountain ranges and valleys in the region. What is one of those mountain ranges that they talk about in the Bible? The Ararat Mountains, which is where in the biblical, what happens in the biblical narrative, what's significant? That's where the Noah's Ark landed, in the Ararat Mountains. In those regions, I must prove to you that those Ararat region mountains run along this particular African Arab fault, right? So the Mediterranean ridge, the last tectonic interaction between the African plate and what you kept saying, Caucasian, the African plate and the Eurasian plate, although not directly affecting Israel, plays a role in the broader Mediterranean region geological dynamics, including the forming the Mediterranean ridge. So it is important to note that while Israel is influenced by plate tectonics, the tectonic activity in the region is generally less intense than in areas along the Pacific Ring of Fire or other prominent tectonic boundaries, unless the effects of plate moves have left their mark on the geological landscape of Israel over geological timescales. Brother, Israel rests in Africa, on the tectonic plates of Africa. Right. When we look at maps, we see the divisions made by men. So the Bible in its biblical narrative before these divisions occurred gives us the right geographical location for Israel where it rests today.
Regardless of how the tectonic plates are working, we know exactly. No, hold on. We know exactly where the places that we're talking about. We're talking about next to the Sinai Peninsula. We're not talking about in Ethiopia. We're talking about a specific area that the Bible is alluding to. You're going from Ethiopia, Kush, Puntai area, all the way up to Israel to try to explain this crazy narrative, and that's out. So
brother,
what we like you said, we gonna do this. We could do this another day.
No, you're gonna stop right now. Hold on. When you talk about Israelites being in the Sinai area, right? Being in the Sinai area, when does the biblical narrative place Israelites in the Sinai?
After the Exodus.
After the
Exodus. Or during the Exodus, or when they get, or when they're when I say after the Exodus, I'm saying when they're leaving Egypt. That's what I'm saying when I say after the Exodus.
That's all I want you to say. Where were they? Where were they?
Leaving Egypt, brother. You jumped a million. You jumped a whole bunch of years, brother. What?
No, because
come on. We was just talking about come on.
Now listen, brother. You said that they were involved in the Sinai region.
No, I said this place called Israel is next to the Sinai region. You went from Punt, Ethiopia, Eritrea, all the way to Israel to explain the origin of where to explain where Eden is, brother. What?
Listen, do you hear yourself? That's the same place. What are you talking about? We keep telling you that. That's East Africa.
You're saying Eritrea is in the same region as Israel. It's in the same place as it is. No, it's not. Do you know how many miles? You know how many kilometers is in between those places? You know how much brother? Come on.
How many kilometers? How many kilometers is it between California and New York City?
You're taking the argument where it don't even need to be. Let's stay where we're at. Let's stay where we're at. Because if you're going to do that, let's open up the Masoretic text. Let's open up the Septuagint and see if that even adds up with what you're saying with this Garden of Eden. Let's do it.
Keep saying the biblical narrative. The biblical narrative teaches us these are our borders.
Brother, like I said, we could do this another day because y'all playing now. Y'all playing now. I know exactly what to do. No, I know exactly what to do.
Well, yeah, and that just means you need a little bit more study.
Yeah, no. Y'all need to study more.
I just showed you, bro. You just said you brought up the Sinai region. I didn't bring up the Sinai region.
I said that Israel is closer to that region than it ever will be Eritrea. That's what I'm saying. And we're talking about where the Garden of Eden is, and you're compiling all these geographical areas into one area. That's crazy.
It's the same region because Genesis chapter 2 that we just read, you gave us that. We didn't make that up.
But let's look at the LXX, let's look at the Masoretic text, and then we'll go off of those cataracts and what it's saying. Then we can do that. Because what y'all doing right now is y'all are mixing things and compiling things up, and I'm not gonna play that game with y'all today. That's not what we're doing.
I can show you the King James version is based on the Texas Receptors, which is based
No. Let's do it. Look, I'll find it myself. I'll find the translations myself, and we'll get back to it.
Listen, I'm gonna help you. The King James version is based on the Texas Receptors, which is based on the Masoretic text. Now, if you want to compare Genesis chapter 2 and the LXX in the Septuagint to the Masoretic text, go right ahead and tell me what you get.
Trust me, but I know what I'm doing. We go make it make sense because you're sitting here compiling all these geographical areas into just one landmass, and we understand. But at the same time, you're telling me that tectonic plates are moving and such, bro. We're talking about where is the Garden of Eden when there's no connection that's bringing these things closer to each other to make Eritrea right next to Israel. I don't care what you're pulling out. That's inaccurate. That's all the way inaccurate.
You can see it on the map. What are you talking about?
So you're sitting here telling me that once upon a time, where Israel is, it was right next to Eritrea. That's what you're saying.
Not no once upon a time. It's like that today.
No, it's not. They're not next to each other. So you're telling me you could walk from Ethiopia all the way to Israel with no problem?
Yes, you can.
Well, how long that's gonna take you?
Who cares?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I say, y'all, you funny, bro. We're gonna do this another day, bro. No, we're gonna do this another day. Y'all on that bullshit.
They can drive. What do you mean? They can take a horse.
Y'all on that bullshit. No, y'all on that bullshit right now. Now y'all playing because y'all know y'all caught.
I'm gonna help. Here you go. I'm gonna help you, brother. Listen, brother. Listen. This is what I mean, bro, about guys that just say, "Hey, look, I'll research that more and get back to you." That's what you got to learn how to do, brother.
I just said that. I said we'll do this another day. It's not even that I need more research. It's just I need to put together my
Yes, it is.
sources. No.
Oh, yes,
Y'all need
it
to,
is.
brother. The way
Yes,
you just tried to explain where the Garden of Eden was crazy. That was crazy. So like I said,
from where? I just gave it to
y'all
you
on that Israelite stuff right now. I'm cool. Y'all cool.
I gave it to you out of the book.
I'm cool. Out of the book, out of the narrative, out of the biblical narrative, and then you went to a historical narrative and tried to match those things. That's not it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. So where's the Garden of Eden? Show me on the map then. Since you just got it mapped out, show me where the Garden of Eden is on the map. Show me. Because that's what the question was. You started talking about tectonic plates. Show me the Garden of Eden is since you got all this geographical shit mapped out. Show me, Yara. Show me. I'm still waiting.
The Bible says it's in Ethiopia. I've been showed you that a long time ago. It says it was in Ethiopia. Even D Red put it in the chat. Says in the
brother. But your homeboy just said that the Levant area is also called Africa. So which one are we choosing? Which one are we choosing? Ethiopia or the Levant area?
He just showed you, brother.
You keep saying
what area?
You keep listen, brother. You keep saying Ethiopia and the Levant. Those things are man-made connotations, but the land masses are the same land mass. Let me help you. Have you ever been to Haiti?
Nope.
How far is Haiti from the Dominican Republic?
It's water in between it, so I don't know.
Well, here's the problem. You're incorrect.
I never said what I'm saying.
Hold on. Listen. You're wrong. Here's the problem, and this is a perfect example. Haiti in the Dominican Republic is the same landmass. One is just on one end of the island, and the other is just on the other end of the same island.
Yeah.
That's what we're explaining to you, brother. You see?
You're talking about, listen, stop taking this into America. Let's stay over here. Or let's stay where we was. Let's stay where we was, brother. Because you're using tectonic plates. I asked you a simple question, and now we're talking about South America and all these other places. Let's not do that.
Brother, today are going off of ancient times. That's why
at the end of
names,
you can't say nothing, brother. You already told me that Africa is considered the Levant in your narrative. And then you're talking about Ethiopia and Eritrea. That's crazy.
I just showed you.
It's done.
It's
done. I'll get back to y'all with the real facts because y'all playing.
He see, but he don't see. Hear, but he don't hear. See,
yeah,
showed him. He just.
Hey man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Peace and blessings, man. But hey, if you get your information, man, you're welcome to come back, man, and present it, man, uninterrupted, brother. So peace and blessings to you, man.
Yeah, peace and blessings to y'all too, bro. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
Good deal.
Peace, brother.
So. Yeah, man. So, hey, man, it's late, man. So, hey, man, we went over hey, man, but interesting conversation, good discussion. I say, man, but clearly, K.O.T, my brother, I know you bring out the information. I just really wanted to see if the brother was going to really try to synthesize his information to an argument where, he really had a stance against what you brought out.
Yeah.
And and I get it. He generally, he generally, has he believes what he believes, but at some point, you got to yield, man. You got to learn when to say uncle, fam. You got to learn when to say uncle. But it's all good. But he's definitely welcome to come back on, man, and present his information, man.
Yeah, that question made sense to me later on. Like I caught on to his question, started to make sense. It's all just sounded trickery the way he brought it out at first.
Yeah, I think he was just really trying to, I think he was really, looking for an answer. He may just have, some other, paradigm like many other people do. But hey man, it is what it is. But peace and blessings to the brother, man.
Yeah,
peace and blessings to the brother. He's always welcome. He's a good brother, though. He's a good brother.
He's a good brother.
He's a good brother.
It just sounded like he just wanted to argue about anything to me, but he had to have a point, and then I caught on to him. Like, well, then he just went off his own belief at the same time.
He probably understand.
Yeah.
But Shout out to admission the Black Man Center Garden is not open to the public anymore. That's a fact. But shout out to Indigenous Black man for coming on and joining the panel, man, dropping the science, man, as well. And definitely, man, we look forward. Hey, man, y'all look out, man. July 13th, man, I got a debate coming up with our good brother Menelek, Israel elect on the HOK debate Coliseum platform dealing with does the Masoretic text corrupt the translation of the King James Version Bible? Does the Masoretic text corrupt the King James Version Bible? Basically, that's the topic. So we're gonna go into that, man. And these cats is funny, man. Talking about this Masoretic text is funny. But we're definitely gonna bring it out and get some things going, man. So last word on you, K.O.T, man. We're gonna close this thing out.
Okay, I'd like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yo. By the power of His word, I rock. I'd like to give peace and blessings to our brother Elder Yara, because he be right on point. Cause I be focused on certain doctrines I bring out. They ask questions that I ain't been on over like 4-5 years when I used to go into that type of stuff they be asking. That's why I base my arguments off of certain stuff. Then I start catching back on to what they're talking about. But you be right on point. You be right with it. And I like to give peace and blessings to the Queen, Professor, lovely lady. Peace and blessings to Indigenous Black man. Peace and blessings to the Number Magazine, to D-Red. I thought I saw Salah Binyat. Peace and blessings to Salah Binyat. Peace and blessings to the Queen, Cassandra, lovely lady. I don't think I saw it, but peace and blessings to Cooking with Billy. And as I was showing, like the brother I agree with things he kept saying, and he agree with me because we basically agreeing with each other. He just ain't understanding what's going on. Because I'm using the information they're teaching, but I'm giving them the biblical narrative that they match in certain instances. I know the years they're giving in the people, but it breaks off into migration patterns that the biblical narrative kind of, that it gives, and start breaking down these people ruling. And we see that they are Asiatic people. They decide they went and mixed with European looking people. So no, not all these white people are not Esau, because Esau was an Asiatic and we are Negro Asiatic. But Esau had a mutation from his migration and his mixtures. So, and like I showed in the scripture, all nations, like in Revelation, they can be saved. It says that in Revelation, and the nations that are saved. So we don't have to add people on to being a branch of Israel, to being Israel. We clearly see that other nations that are saved shall come into this kingdom to give praises, sacrifice, and they will have their own kingdom still. So we don't have to make other people Israel. The scriptures show that we will have a kingdom, the elect men among us, and those other nations that serve Yah, they will be saved also. The people among them, because this world is wicked. So many are not going to make it already. So people should be rushing to righteous to be of the 144,000 and to be an elect chosen prophet or teacher, or the one that follows that truth and those commandments to do righteous. Because many don't. They want to follow the word. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah, man. All praises, man, to the Most High Yahweh, man. And peace and blessings, family. Y'all be blessed, man. Shalom.
K.O.T. Turn my mic up. Better y'all rock. New toy movie. Tell them tanks on the ground. When I was there, the father raised me up. He raised me up. And all my sins, he never gave me up. No. And all my wrongs really gave me up. They heard them tanks up on the ground, so he had to rank them up. New toy movie.